We're live.
We're live.
And we're live.
Hey, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Oh, who's watching? Oh, 8 people watching.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So I need to get my bearings because
I know. Deep breath, bro. We gotta.
For those of you who sorry.
No, I was just gonna say we haven't done one of these emergency ones in a little while, and so it's like I don't know. There's like this energy of like, oh man, there's like something's going on.
Is the audio all good? Whoever is listening here, can you can someone just make sure that they you can hear us properly? Give us a thumbs up. Give us a comment that the audio is indeed working and you can hear us. Haribol, it's all good. Thank you so much. Durbag devotee, thank you.
Durbag. You're not a dirtbag in our eyes.
Audio is good. Oh, Shanta Vigraha, our good friend.
Hey, Shanta Vigraha.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Okay, Vinay. Oh, Vinay, he brought Kev Jumbo. Thanks so much, Vinay. Yeah, thanks. Jamil, thank you. Okay.
All right.
We have 17 devotees watching. So
no, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? I don't even know. So we're going to be talking with a few devotees about the female Diksha Guru or Vaishnavi Diksha Guru issue that's going on, which in my eyes is silly.
It's silly.
It's like, silly because it's like.
Oh, you mean like the issue is silly?
The
Not
issue,
like that the gurus are silly. We gotta be so careful because that could sound like you're saying like, oh, these silly women. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Because to be honest, some of the arguments that I've heard, at least back in the day, and even now, are like very, very much in that. Like, oh, we're like these silly women. Like, why are they trying to like take? Why are they trying to take this position? But that's not what you're saying. Just to be clear.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's very a complex history. The reason it's coming up now is because the moratorium is over.
Right.
Moratorium meaning that they were going to pause the whole thing of diksha of female gurus or Vaishnavis giving diksha.
Right.
And so now that's February came up and now it's over. Another thing we're also. Oh yeah, we're also rooting for Jahnavi. She's I think it's now.
Can we acknowledge that right now?
Let's ask Tulsi what's going on.
So this is a little unprecedented here.
What's going on?
But we are while we're podcasting about. Oh look,
just come tell me.
Got some special guest stars. While we're podcasting about the Vaishnavi Diksha Guru issue, ironically or whatever you want to call it. Like parallel to this, we're also cheering on one of our favorite Vaishnavis, who is in many ways a guru, a role model to many, and that is our beloved Jahnavi Harrison, who is nominated for a Grammy, and we are like in real time tracking this ceremony to see. We don't know. We don't actually she doesn't get advance notice or anything, so we're really literally on the edge of our seats trying to find out. So we may actually interrupt what we're doing to give you some good news, hopefully good news.
Definitely.
But kind of ironic, right? Like,
yeah, I put a Go Jahnavi ticker at the bottom there.
Nice.
Okay.
So let's go back to this history.
Let's go back to
some folks may not be so familiar with it, but basically,
break it down really quickly and really basically.
Okay, quick breakdown. Topic comes up, is debated, challenged, whatever. Can women in ISKCON,
don't hit this.
Can women in ISKCON be Diksha Gurus? The GBC finding, as far as I'm aware, the decision was yes. So there was actually an official position or an official ruling, you can say, that women in ISKCON, female devotees, Vaishnavis, can be Diksha Gurus. But then there was backlash and a moratorium was placed. A moratorium, like a temporary stoppage, right? Saying, okay, we need to like pause. We need to hit the pause button on this.
Yeah.
Essentially, right?
Yeah.
And that is what's happening now is the pause button is being released as of February.
Well, they're trying to release it.
They're trying to release it.
And there's a whole group of devotees that don't agree with it. So
that's why this issue is, because you didn't really hear about this issue for a little while, right? It's been kind of quiet
for 2 or 3 years. It's been
I mean, there were still conversations, debates, discussions, but nothing like what we're seeing in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
And that is because the ban, the moratorium, whatever you want to call it, is about to be lifted. And sorry, I'm passionate about this.
Yes.
And now these devotees who are, let's say, anti-FDG are coming out of the woodworks to say, hey, before this moratorium is lifted, we got to stop this. We got to make sure that there are no female Diksha gurus. And even to the point of some saying, if this moratorium is lifted and it becomes ISKCON law again, that there can be female Diksha gurus, we are seceding, I think is the word,
Seceding,
right?
yeah.
We're splitting.
Splitting from ISKCON.
We're splitting from ISKCON, and
Yeah.
we're going to do our own thing. We're going to have our own, ISKCON, India, whatever. Something we might talk about a little bit later, especially when we have some of our guests join us, is that a lot of this is being framed as a ISKCON in the West versus ISKCON in India,
Yes.
kind of thing. Some of that, unfortunately bears out as far as who some of the prominent voices are and where they're geographically located. Some of that doesn't really bear out, and is something that I personally find very frustrating, that it's constantly framed in that way and makes it sound like, basically all Indian devotees, or most Indian devotees even, are against female Diksha gurus, and most non-Indian devotees, or like quote unquote Western devotees, are for female Diksha gurus. And that doesn't always hold up, including us.
Yeah.
Right. As devotees of Indian origin.
So my whole thing, which is my hot take, which is my opinion, is that I don't think anyone should try to get approval from a body of devotees to become a guru. According to Shastra, guru is a self-evident. If they know Krishna Tattva, no matter, it doesn't say anything about gender in the Shastra. If they know Krishna Tattva, they can be guru.
Right.
Okay. And I think other problem is around the giving of the Brahma Gayatri and the thread. And so pre-Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there's a line of gurus who are female Vaishnavis, and
Correct.
they give, but they never gave the Brahma Gayatri and the thread. They gave Gopal Mantra and Kama Gayatri. So the complexity of this becomes more complex because of that whole kind of addition, or
right. You got to sort of like
work
figure
around
that
it.
out.
You got to work it out. Okay. And do you have anything more to say before we bring on our first guest? Because I don't want to make her wait too long.
Yeah. Can we before we bring her on?
Yeah.
Can we just sort of explain to folks like what it is we're doing with this whole guest thing? Because I think that's super exciting, and I'm
yeah.
like,
Thank
really
you for that. So we're bringing on a few devotees who have various different perspectives. So we have people who are against, and we have people who are for, and we have someone who is actually a female or a Vaishnavi. I keep saying female Diksha, Vaishnavi Diksha guru, and that is Her Grace Shamarani Devidasi Mataji. She's a wonderful Vaishnavi, extremely senior.
Yeah.
We just want to get her perspective. I mean, she's actually doing it.
Right. She can actually speak from lived experience.
Exactly.
Right? Which
yeah.
kind of is getting lost in a lot of these debates and discussions.
So should we bring her on?
Our first guest?
Yes.
Yeah, let's bring her on. I'm going to grab a tissue.
Wait, actually, I think that the Grammy thing is happening right now.
Is it happening? You want to find out? Let's take a short break.
Hold on. Short break here. Is it happening? 3 more? Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're in parallel news. We're three categories away.
Yeah, 3 categories away. Let's see. Okay, we have almost 60 devotees watching now. It's great. Does anyone have any comments before we, I don't want to bring Shamarani Mataji on and then we interrupt her with the Grammy thing. So let's just wait.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any comments that they want to share? They can write them on the chat and I'll share them. Anyone want to be my Shiksha guru? I mean, you could choose anyone. Anyone can be your Shiksha guru. There's 2 types of gurus, Shiksha guru and Diksha guru.
And Shiksha guru has no gender restriction. And Diksha guru may or may not have a gender, right? I mean, that's the thing. So, yeah, but we go for it.
Narada Pancharatra says something in Shastra about limits on female. Oh, this is Sankarshan Prabhu. Sankarshan Prabhu, thanks for joining. I know you're a big proponent of the against the idea. And thanks for hopping on and giving your comments.
So if I'm understanding correctly, then that reference would actually
it would limit Westerners too, right?
Well, that, but also the fact that you only limit something that is allowed, right? You don't talk about limits if there's not.
Oh, right.
Like when you limit the amount of cake that your kid eats for dessert, that implies that they can eat cake for dessert. You don't talk about limits if they're not allowed to eat cake, period. So that reference seems like that's a good pro reference. I don't think that's the point that's being made.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But I think inadvertently, I'm like, if there's a reference that talks about limits on female Diksha gurus, that's a reference to female Diksha gurus as being a thing, right?
Okay.
As existing.
Curious to know. Hey, Kamal Mukhi, how are you? Curious to know how many listeners are male versus female bodied. I don't even know how to determine that, to be honest. I do get analytics later.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you that.
I'm also kind of like sometimes really taken aback when I hear arguments made by women devotees against female Diksha gurus. I'm always struck by that. And there are
Indian women.
They're white
from
women
Indian
as well.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's some pretty prominent ones, at least back in the day.
Oh, okay.
A couple of years ago.
Okay. Hey, it's Narasimha, my friend, Narasimha. Any debate that's opinion-based is wrong in our culture. Srila Govinda Maharaj would always say that we should immediately quote Shastra if we're presenting something. Correct. Yes. Thank you for that. And the whole topic seems to be mostly debated emotionally.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think also what ends up happening though, and with due respect, I think it's, you have both sides quoting Shastra. More likely you also have both sides quoting Srila Prabhupada as a pramana, which is a whole other story as to what it means to have Prabhupada as your pramana in this. And I think the devil, so to speak, is in the details as far as selective interpretations. So I agree that a lot of it ends up being emotional, but I think a lot of that emotion is then channeled into picking Shastric and Prabhupada said type of quotes. Perhaps some might even say cherry picking them,
right?
And then kind of using that as your ammunition, so to speak.
I mean, it goes back to like the Jiva Falls stuff too. You can find quotes of Srila Prabhupada saying both things, that the Jiva fell and that they cannot fall. So it's like, what do you,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. If we're to use Srila Prabhupada as a pramana, then you get into some difficulty. So then you have to take that pramana and put it against the greater Gaudiya, greater in the sense, not better, I'm saying in the wider, the larger Gaudiya. Okay, Grammys, 1 second.
They're about to do it. They're about to announce.
They're about to announce. It's happening.
She didn't win? Oh my gosh. Oh.
So close. So close. Jahnavi, we love you so much.
You were a winner in our book.
100%.
I mean, the fact that she got that far is just
no, that itself is a huge accomplishment. I mean, honestly, we could have a whole podcast about this, but like, no, like when you were growing up, could you ever have imagined that a Kirtaniya, someone part of our Sangha, would be like sitting at the Grammys?
It's crazy. It's
like,
absolutely crazy.
Like, just,
man.
Anyway, I know it sounds like a cliche and everything, it's just an honor to be nominated, et cetera, but it really is. It really, really is. We're super bummed out and disappointed. But we're also like, let's not lose sight of the fact that she was there, just the fact that she got that far, that's something to be celebrated.
Yes.
Like to the nth degree.
Definitely.
Amazing. We love you, Jahnavi. We love you so much. We're so proud of you. It's just a matter of time.
We're calling Shamarani Mataji.
So we're calling Shamarani Mataji, also known as Jadurani Devidasi or Jadurani Mataji. And again, I just want to say, like, one of the things that makes it so that makes her perspective.
She's on.
Her perspective is especially valuable. Is we're not talking theory, right? We're talking. This is lived experience. She is someone that has taken on the service and the responsibility of serving as a a Diksha guru. We're so honored. I also want to quickly say, and then we're going to turn it over to her, but we also don't want to lose sight of the fact that if you want to talk about going back to what did Srila Prabhupada want, what was Srila Prabhupada's example, what was Srila Prabhupada's teachings, we're talking about someone that is one of the senior most living disciples of His Divine Grace, period, regardless of gender. And among women, I would say one of the senior most, if not senior most living disciples. I believe, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the very first brahmacharini initiated in our movement. So that itself is a point of history and should be noted. And we are just so honored and blessed that she's with us and that she's sharing her perspective.
Hare Krishna Shamrani Matji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for joining us on such short notice. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm very honored that you invited me, even though I'm not qualified to be here.
No, you're
amazingly qualified to be here.
Qualified.
In some ways, you're the most qualified to be here,
Yes.
actually.
So we just wanted to start out by asking you, this won't be too long, won't take more of your time, but obviously of the debate that's going on right now about Vaisnavi Diksha gurus. You yourself are a Vaisnavi Diksha guru. You are giving Diksha to disciples. And we just want to get your perspective on, obviously you believe that, Vaishnavis can become gurus, but do you have any other elaboration on that point, if you could share with us?
And I'll just add, and if you feel comfortable sharing how you came to the decision or the realization, if you want to call it that, to take on this service in addition to all the other services that you've been performing.
Sure. Now, what is it that you want me to elaborate on?
Yes.
The fact that women can give Diksha? That idea?
Yeah, if you could.
Well, nowhere or everywhere in the scriptures it gives the qualification to be guru. It gives who guru is. Like Shiksha Guru is a manifestation of Krishna's Swarup, and Diksha Guru is a manifestation of Krishna's Rup, Krishna's form, and then there's Krishna's nature. So there's no difference between Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru. So all those things are given in the scriptures. The qualification of Guru, I'll just show from Mandaka Upanishad, Tadvigyam, Ardam Saguru Evam Abhigachet, Samistani, Shrotyam, Brahmanishtam. That is, approach a guru who is realized in the absolute truth. He knows all the śāstra and he's detached from matter. There's no other designation given. So it's so clear. When Srila Prabhupada was asked by Professor O'Connell, can women give Diksha, initiation, Prabhupada said, if they can reach the highest perfection, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, then why can't they be guru? I mean, I don't even think that's an issue. Just coincidentally, today is the appearance day of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And there was a big debate at that time too, or trying to be a big debate, because the caste Brahmanas said that he's a king's son, and he has no right to give Diksha to Brahmanas who are higher in caste. And he's giving initiation to thousands of Brahmanas. So they wanted to have a debate with him on this point. Who can give initiation? So his disciples, Narottam Das Thakur's disciples, were very wise and funny. So they dressed up as shopkeepers and opened up shop in different places in town, because these big brahmanas like Pancham Acharya and so on, with big turbans, came in from all over India into town and ready for this debate. So the Vaishnavas who were dressed as the shopkeepers. Not only them, but also people who were coming to buy things that the brahmanas would need, like wood or pot for cooking or ponds they like to chew. They would say, "Welcome, who are you?" And then the brahmanas would say, "I'm a brahmana. My name is so-and-so." That's not true. That's your material designation. And after fierce talk back and forth, the brahmanas, not only with the shopkeepers, but with the passers-by, they felt thoroughly defeated because they were trying to propose that women's body. So they got scared and they thought, if these ordinary people are defeating us easily, then what about their leader? So they just let down and there was no debate. This seems like a similar issue of, am I this body or am I not this body?
Right.
Right.
Shāstra all over it says, "Oh, not this body," and there's no bar for reaching perfection from a lady or a man, or if you're an animal, like Thakur Vaisnavi was the guru of Garuda. So it doesn't seem like that is the issue. The issue is, what is the qualification of guru? When Srila Prabhupada said that a woman can be a charya, but that is rare because she has to be perfect. To be perfect, to be a real Diksha guru, because there's one verse describing Diksha, Divya Jnanam Dadati, that the giving of Diksha is the giving of Div, which means transcendental knowledge, realization of my relationship with Krishna. And Ksha, in order for that to happen, I have to become free from obstacles, offenses, reactions to my sinful activities. So Diksha is a very, very high thing. So Diksha Guru, real Diksha Guru, is very rare. And that's why Krishna says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Anshali Belief Chapter 5, that when someone gets a bona fide initiation, when he actually receives Diksha, then he becomes non-different from me.
Mm-hmm.
So who of us has that? Are we really getting Diksha or are we getting Anustanika? There's two kinds of Diksha, Vishvagarudi and Anustanika. Anustanika is either if you don't have a topmost guru or if you're not really qualified, although your Gurudev is the topmost guru, but he's giving formal initiation, and then who knows, it could take many births to actually become a full Dikshit, like Narada Muni. He's a Dikshit, and he flies around the different universes.
Right.
As far as my own experience goes, I don't consider myself as a Diksha guru. I'm not a Ristic by any means. I'm not telling anybody that they're getting initiated by Prabhupada, but I do tell everyone who I'm initiating that I am not your guru. Our Guru Varga is your guru. Even someone who I accept as my pure devotee, Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, he said, I am not saying that I am guru. I want to be Guru Sevak. My Gurudev is guru. So really, our Guru Varga is guru, and I'm just considering myself their unqualified representative. But to tell you the truth, I am totally seeing magic every day. I'm seeing my cycles advancing so quickly because I have full faith in the process, in the programs, in Mangalarti, in Bhagavatam class, or any scripture class, in Arti, in Kirtan, in Tulsi worship. And I see that because these disciples are doing that, to me, they're advancing far beyond me. And I'm just amazed every day. So that means the power, the mercy is coming not from me, but from my higher ups, my Guru Varga.
Right, right. The apologize for interrupting, but one of the common arguments that we sometimes hear from those who are opposed to Vaishnavis taking on the role of Diksha Guru is that for a Vaishnavi to play that role, she would have to really be exceptional, extraordinary, pure, perfect, like a goddess, partial or whatever manifestation. So Janava, Mata is there, but no, that's it, right? But we don't typically hear those folks making the same argument for males,
right?
In fact, it's
exactly,
and so
that's the exact point.
Right. So, so everything you've expressed would go equally for male or female, correct?
Totally equally. If Guru is a manifestation of Krishna's Swarup, that is Shiksha Guru, and Diksha Guru is a manifestation of Krishna's form, the same qualifications is there. So then there are so many levels of Guru and so many different levels of the power of Guru. That is absolutely right.
Right. If we may ask, in your own personal experience of taking on this service, how did you come to that point where you felt like it was the right time to take on that service?
Well, it's only been, how long has it been? A year, 2 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
Of all the years after Srila Prabhupada's divine disappearance. And so I had no intention, because I'd heard that if one is a conditioned soul and he takes disciples, then he has to share in his disciples' sins. And I was thinking, I have enough of my own, I don't need the reactions of others. Even Prabhupada said, really, we know it's not true, that he was suffering with some disease because of his disciples' sins. Of course, that's not true, but he said that in order to make us more responsible and careful. So many senior devotees urged me, appealed to me, insisted to me to take on this responsibility, just because it's needed, just because people are suffering, just because I'm already developing a relationship, because we have our temple here called Sacred Vedic Arts. We have a temple here in Miami. And it's really just like an ISKCON temple, same programs, same book distribution, and so on, Harinam. But there's a little emphasis on the arts, because I have so many paintings here.
Right.
So I was already developing relationships with so many devotees, and for so many years, devotees were begging me to be their guru, and I would say, ask me again in a few million births when I'm qualified. Or if you want me as an unbona fide guru, I could take you now. So, but because of the insistence of senior devotees, and they're insisting that it's my responsibility to take charge of their development. So then I did so.
Yeah.
That's when I did so.
Yeah, I mean, Nam, I was just meeting with a dear friend. I'm not going to say any names. I was meeting with a dear friend who is aspiring for Diksha, in her heart of hearts, very sincere person, from one of Shamarani Didi's god sisters. Again, not going to go into names. And that person's, in light of the whole situation, told her, well, I'm not able to give you initiation, but you please, like, you can be inspired by so and so, or you please go to such and such. And this person, who's, by the way, an eminently qualified person, even on material level, leader in her field, PhD, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I could go on and on about this friend of mine who's just an amazing person. She said, well, then I'm just not going to take initiation.
Right.
Because it is a very personal thing. It's a matter of that heart connection as well.
I guess my question is, why is there a need always? I guess because I wasn't in that time, and I'm not a Vaishnavi, but the need for the approval of ISKCON for the Vaishnavis to give Diksha. So in your case, Shamarani Mataji, you're not working within the ISKCON ecosystem. And so do you find that that you don't feel that you don't have Prabhu. Of course, you don't feel that, but you don't have Prabhupada's blessings because you're not within the ISKCON movement per se. Can you comment on that?
I sure can. I know I have Prabhupada's blessings.
Right.
There was a GVC resolution in 1995 that anyone who hears from, reads the books of, hears the tapes of Srila Narayana Goswami Maharaj goes to hell. They lose all their Prabhupada's blessings. And I know from so many reasons, from Shastra, from experience, how dear Srila Narayana Goswami Maharaj is to Srila Prabhupada. And how I've never met anyone who quotes Prabhupada with so much authority and realization, like explaining things so clearly of who Srila Prabhupada is. I mean, I was one of the people who thought that Prabhupada was a coward boy, and I used to spread that all over the world. And I'm still repenting for that. And I learned from Srila Narayana Goswami Maharaj that he's a Rupanuga, means a follower of Rupa Goswami, means a follower of Rupa Manjari. And so he's showing us in Prabhupada's books the very deeper meanings. And yet there was this injunction that anyone who hears from him gets kicked out of ISKCON and loses Prabhupada's grace. So I wasn't taking that seriously then, and I'm certainly not taking it seriously now. Mm-hmm. I know Prabhupada's teachings. I chant well over 16 rounds a day. I follow the 4 regular principles. So how do I not have Prabhupada's grace?
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that.
And I have so many quotes where Prabhupada authorizes women, pure women, to be guru. So I'm not saying I'm not qualified.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm qualified.
I guess we'll talk about some of those quotes as well. But Nam, the point that you made earlier about the sort of how you can find quotes both ways.
Oh yes, I wanted to mention that there's this book that some ISKCON devotees produced called Handling the Diksha Gurus, and I never really read it.
Is this the book?
She can't see us.
Oh, she can't see us. Okay, I think we have the
stamp. Yeah, but after you called and asked me to go on the show, so I picked it up and started reading it. And it's interesting because I also did a similar study on various topics from Srila Prabhupada's books, like The Soul of the Jiva and so on, that sometimes when books are quoted as this is Prabhupada's books or it's Prabhupada's Brahman, so we wanted to see what is the context of that quote. Like, for example, Prabhupada will write, in our Vaishnava Siddhanta, this is the situation. The Smarta Brahmins say this. So you'll find in Prabhupada quoting many Smarta Brahmins literature about the limitation on women, that they can't even take initiation, what to speak of give initiation. Right. Another thing that I just found in the same book, I was really surprised. In the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Dhruva Maharaj is going back to Godhead, he thought of his mother. And so then he saw that she was going back to Godhead as well in another airplane. So Srila Prabhupada, well, in the book, in Prabhupada's 4th canto, it states that although his mother gave him the initial instruction to go and find Bhagavan, she was his Shiksha Guru, but she couldn't be his Diksha Guru because of her being a woman and also being Dhruva's mother. So then on the next page, I was amazed to see the devotees quoting that that's not what Prabhupada originally said. And they showed his manuscript, his original type on the typewriter manuscript, where it said she couldn't be his Diksha Guru because of her family relation and the fact that she was a mother. So sometimes not often, but rare, sometimes what you find in the book, not what you find in the original. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but also you find Srila Prabhupada quoting, again, Smarta Shastra.
Right.
And that's what they try to do with, like in Kali Yuga, sannyas is forbidden, and killing sacrificing a cow is forbidden, and a few other things forbidden. But we find we're so lucky to have Srila Prabhupada's purports. He said this means not that sannyas is forbidden, but Mayavad sannyas is forbidden. So we really need purports and reading this book and that book and combining and seeing.
Yeah, yeah. Just on that, I do have that reference pulled up, and for anyone who's interested, by the way, the book is called "Did Srila Prabhupada Want Women Diksha Gurus?" and it was compiled by Konteya Prabhu, who we've chatted with on the pod in the past. The line in particular, the original from the transcript of Srila Prabhupada's dictation, the original reads, however, being in family relationship with Dhruva, his mother, and also a woman, could not become Diksha Guru of Dhruva Maharaj. And so, like, when you look at what Srila Prabhupada says in the original, the whole flavor of it changes, where really what Prabhupada is emphasizing is that family relationship. That's what have made it. And then almost like as a kind of an aside, he's like, and also a woman, because in that context, right? But that was all changed, by the time the editing was done, it becomes the very simple line of Suniti, however, being a woman, and specifically his mother, could not become Dhruva Maharaj's Diksha Guru. So totally different flavor to it, right?
Interesting.
Anyway, it's another subject, but I think that's one of the quotes. The other thing, Nam, I want to say, and I know we need to kind of keep rolling, is I actually would push back, and maybe we'll get into this with some of our other guests, but I would push back on the notion that in this case, you've got an equal number of quotes on both sides. I think you actually have an overwhelming number of quotes where Srila Prabhupada says so directly, like, and that the conversation with Professor O'Connell is just, to me, like a smoking gun, because it's like so rare that Prabhupada is asked a direct question, gives a direct answer, and there's still such a raging debate on it. Professor O'Connell is like, Swamiji, can women today be Diksha Gurus? Like, can women today initiate? And Prabhupada says so clearly, like, yes, right? Like, yes, why not? Yes. It's so clear, and yet you also don't have straightforward quotes where Prabhupada, in so many instances where Prabhupada could have said, right, all the men, I want all my male disciples to be Diksha Gurus, my male disciples should initiate, but of course not my women disciples, because they're not. You don't find those quotes. You find the exact opposite, right?
Yes.
So that's another point where I feel like here, if someone wants to go by the praman of let's just go by what Srila Prabhupada said, I mean, he said a number of times, men and women, sons and daughters. Yeah. It's just
Shamarani Mataji, thank you so much. Would you like to any parting words for us here?
Parting words. Somehow nothing comes to me except Guru is a quality. It doesn't depend, as you said, on any. In fact, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that a charya is not by vote, but a charya is self-effulgent by his own quality.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Wonderful
Hare
to hear
Krishna.
from you.
Thank you.
Can I stay on so I can hear the others speak? We'll hear it from you. All right. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
All right. So we just had Shamarani Mataji on, who does give initiation with her perspective. I mean, all very wonderful and expected, points, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think also just, kind of reminding us, again, we don't have the time or the bandwidth to do the deep dive into it, but it sort of opens up this question of what does it mean to be guru anyway? What are the qualifications of guru? If we want to have a serious conversation about that, let's have a serious conversation about that. And with due respect, not, start getting into like the weeds with things like, oh, can like a woman, hold the sacred thread and give it to their like.
Right.
Let's get into like, what does it actually mean to give Diksha?
That's why my point has always been, why do we need the approval of a body to give initiation? Like, if you're ready and you have people who are interested in that, then just go ahead, and you'll read it there in the books, and just go ahead and give the initiation. Like, but it's not my perspective, because that's not me. I'm just a kid.
You're just a cowboy. You're just a wild cowboy. You're just doing your thing, man.
Okay, so we're gonna bring our next guest.
Also, we never actually, because of the whole Grammy thing, I don't think we actually explained what we're doing, but we're bringing on a number of guests.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
For some perspective, some sort of rapid fire type of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why we're kind of calling friends in, we're calling people in, and we're going to try to be as balanced as possible, while also being fully transparent about our own, like we have been, about our own takes on this.
Yes. So we have Her Grace Pranada Devidasi Pranadamachi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Nice to see you.
So you created a video in response to Shivaram Swami's video where he was saying that we should not have in ISKCON Vaishnavi Diksha gurus. And I know you explained like some of the context, and maybe you can quickly just summarize what you said in that video, and then maybe we can ask questions around that.
And maybe even a little bit of the accurate history. I mean, we don't want to get bogged down too much.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it would be helpful, because there are so many sort of like ups and downs and contextual things that are important to keep in mind.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just went through the history for the past 25 years on this particular discussion within the GBC body, and with specifically those who are opposed to the idea. Basically, just very quickly, I'll just give you like bullet points. The GBC accepts that Vaishnavis can initiate in 2005 and 2009. At least they say seems to be the reality, and then 2009 they say definitely. Then they say that they can actually initiate in ISKCON in 2014, but they postpone a vote. And then the GBC votes in 2019 that women can initiate. And then in 2021, they add certain qualifications for Vaishnavis to be able to initiate. And then right in 2022, I guess it was, Narayani accepted 2 disciples. Indian Bureau offered some veiled threats about seceding from ISKCON. So the GBC placed a 3-year moratorium on Vaishnavis initiating in 2023, which expired in October. And that was, of course, the initiating event for Shivaram Maharaj to come out with his video asking us to petition the GBC to not allow this because it's apasampradaya.
So the basis of his argument is the reason why we should not lift the moratorium, as was previously agreed to, is that if we do so, we will be opening the door to ISKCON becoming an apasampradaya. Is that right?
Correct. Although he didn't give any supportive evidence for that statement. But just to be clear, the moratorium does not exist anymore. It expired in October 2025. And just to note also, which I did not say, or maybe I did say in the video, at the time there was a committee formed between the ISKCON Bureau, India Bureau, and the GBC to have discussions during the 3-year period to sort through anything that needed to be sorted through from the Indian perspective. That's what they decided. But no conversation happened. So although they had 3 years to further bring up any comments or things that they wanted to discuss, that wasn't done. So we have on the GBC books that women are qualified to initiate. They, by the way, also just to be clear, all of the anti-party, I don't know how you call it exactly.
Anti-party, yeah, right.
All those opposed to this philosophical point have brought up their concerns to the GBC for years. And the GBC had the Shāstra Advisory Committee twice do research on it. Both times that research proved that there was nothing opposed to women giving Diksha, both from Prabhupada, from precedents, from Shastra. Then, although the debate continued and the kind of veiled threats continued, then the Sabha, I can't remember what that stands for again right now, but that's composed, that body is composed of 17 sannyasis, senior devotees, and they also did thorough research, and they came back and said something to the effect that every time this has come to us, we have stated that there is nothing to oppose women giving Diksha. So, in other words, although people are opposed, keep on bringing up comments and their ideas, all of it has been addressed over and over and over again. And the majority of senior devotees who have been trained by Prabhupada, who are scholarly, some are neutral, some are opposed, some are for, they have all repeatedly done their research and come back with, we cannot not do this because it's upheld in our Shastra. Right. So so that's the essence of the history. There's more to it, obviously, but one thing I will say also, this is very interesting and something I did not put into the video. I found out later. When the GBC was making a decision to put that moratorium, 3-year moratorium on in 2023 or 22 rather, there was a petition sent out, and within 3 days, 2,700 devotees from 70 countries said, please do not put this moratorium on. 70 countries in 3 days said, don't do this. But just by chance, the GBC had already voted, the moratorium was put on.
Wow. So that would seem to suggest that this is not just some fringe issue that, but there's widespread support globally for female Diksha gurus to exist and to have the right to exist, and that this is all backed up shastrically. I am curious, and I don't want to get too much, bogged into sort of what Shivaram Swami's video said, especially since we don't have him here. Right. Full disclosure, we invited him to come, by the way. So if anyone is...
He said I needed to shave my beard.
Yeah. And I mean,
okay, Hare Krishna.
We try to accommodate people, but come on, that's too much. I ain't shaving for no. If I don't shave for my wife, due respect, Shivaram Maharaj, I'm not going to shave for you. But in all seriousness, I don't want to get bogged down into the particular points. But one thing that I was struck by in his video was this logic, which I had a really, really hard time kind of, buying into. But the logic seemed to be that, well, we should look at what Srila Prabhupada did, and Srila Prabhupada didn't appoint women gurus. Right. Therefore, we should never appoint women gurus. And it's like, well, did Srila Prabhupada, first of all, it's a big question, did Srila Prabhupada appoint gurus? And do gurus get appointed? And I mean, do you really want to open up that can of worms? Yeah. But also by that logic, right? Because if you follow what Shivaram Maharaj says, it's sort of like, well, if you look at, let's say like the 11, what became the 11 zonal acharyas, you could also start questioning and have all sorts of weird things like, did Srila Prabhupada appoint any African-American gurus? Did Srila Prabhupada appoint Chinese gurus? Like, I mean, where are you going to go with that, right? Yeah. But Pranadam Mataji, could you share a little bit of like, what's your understanding of is there a new argument to be had? I mean, in the Shivaram Swami video or in anything coming from the anti-party, or is it just more of the same?
It's the same. It's been thoroughly discussed on all levels, and of course, this has been ongoing, and repeatedly, the people who are opposed to this have requested time with the GBC or bodies of the subcommittees of the GBC to discuss this, and every single time the GBC has agreed and made accommodations. There was even a mediation that went on for 8 months, every week, for several hours, with an ISKCON Resolve mediator and a mediator they chose. And the people for had a mediator, the people opposed had a mediator, and that was a failed mediation. Nothing occurred from that mediation. Well, I say there is one thing that occurred from the mediation, and I will say also confidentially that of the 4 in India Bureau members in that mediation, 2 excused themselves and later very quietly said they did so because of Bureau politics. So I don't know what that means, but it means that they didn't feel comfortable to continue because of something going on internally there. What did come from that mediation that failed was a statement by the GBC saying, look, we acknowledge that you don't want to have women offering Diksha in your area, so it's fine. That's not a problem. We're asking for it in the areas in the preaching in the West where how women are viewed, how they're treated, and prohibiting them from seva is very detrimental to the preaching. And anyone who has been preaching front lines and dealing with those who are jivas who are not always in Indian bodies knows how much of an obstacle this is for preaching. It's just such, and I've personally watched over the years, men and women, just walking from bhakti, that they're so excited about the beauty of the bhakti philosophy, and then they come to this, and it's like total cognizant dissonance, and they walk. And it's very painful to see. And practically every other week, I'm talking to one of my students, and I see the pain in their face and how distressed they are, men and women. And it's like I have to over and over again try to help them understand and accommodate different views and opinions of individuals, and how this doesn't change the philosophy of bhakti, etc. It's very, very, very difficult.
Could you tell me, because you probably speak with your god sisters around this whole thing, what is the need of the approval of the institution?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't think this is proper, that you need an institution verifying you as a guru. The individual, if approached, and this is the other thing, women are not asking to be gurus. They're being approached by the people that they're speaking with, begging for initiation, and they're responding based on their relationship with these sincere people. So the idea that women are asking is just totally incorrect. And then
it's also a way to villainize women, right? To like create this narrative that like, oh, these women are like ambitious, equality, greedy, whatever, feminist monsters or something.
Well, that's the thing. They're feminists. I've been called a feminist, femi-Nazi or something like that. And we're called Shudras and Yavanas, and they have choice words. And that's another reason why you don't see many people speaking in favor of it, because they're afraid. You get character assassination, you get the names, called at you. I mean, any women who have spoken up about it gently experience that. So people are shy, and therefore they don't want to speak. Like I think you might have had the experience even inviting someone on this show that said, no, I can't do that. Right. So women aren't. So I don't think that they need institutional support. However, you're coming from the generation that is they're very dedicated to Prabhupada's instructions, and Prabhupada said, cooperate with your GBC. Yeah. Last words, please cooperate together. And so they're very humbly trying their best to follow this instruction by Prabhupada, because we know that he said Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mission was broken apart because of not following a governing body. And so they're very loyal to this instruction. Mm-hmm. And therefore, like for instance, right now, the moratorium was over in October. We don't have GBC meetings until February. That means any of these women could have been initiating right now, these months, but they're so respectful and so willing to cooperate that they won't do anything until things are settled. Because here you have some, I don't know how many, but some Indian leaders repeatedly saying, we will split from ISKCON. Now, I'll tell you, given my life to Prabhupada's ISKCON, to hear that is devastating. My whole life was given to establishing this movement to spread Bhakti, Lord Chaitanya's movement. And on an incorrect philosophical foundation, they're willing to go against Prabhupada and break up his movement. This is like more than heartbreaking. This is tragic. And
I
the
do.
very
Sorry, go ahead. Finish your point.
the very fact that they are threatening a split, you have to think about this for a second. Okay, think about this for a second. The fact that they have threatened a split isn't the possibility of a split. It is a split. Because the moment you say, I will not follow the majority of the GBC, that it doesn't matter that senior devotees have been wrestling this topic seriously, concertedly, with thousands and thousands and thousands of pages, and say, I'm going to ignore that and break Prabhupada's movement apart over this.
Yeah.
What can you say to this? And the GBC is very awkward. Are they going to allow a split? Are they going to go with the philosophy? Are they going to allow a split? Or will the Indian leaders agree to just allowing the West to preach the way they need to preach and just accept?
I think that that the cooperation is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. And from what I'm hearing, it's extremely one-way. And if it means that devotees are going to leave Krishna consciousness, then the higher road is that the rule needs to be broken for the higher cause.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
I don't even know if it's breaking a rule. Like, what is the rule?
No, breaking the rule in the sense the rule that the GBC has put that, listen, you guys can't give initiation.
I
Like,
see
no, we are going to give initiation.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Kind of thing.
No, but the GBC hasn't said
personality.
that. That's the thing. The GBC hasn't said that ever. They have always said yes.
Right.
In every single
It's
time.
not even really breaking a rule.
Okay, so it's the risk of the split happening.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it sounds like the split is being held as like some kind of like
It's
almost
blackmail.
it's blackmail.
Blackmail,
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Blackmail.
Yeah. I guess we should call it what it is. You know, I'm going to be totally try to be like honest here. As someone who is of Indian origin, I feel really, really disheartened by this whole like split along these lines.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
it's not only a split on this issue ideologically, but it's being presented, at least, and I don't think it's correct to present it this way, but it's being presented as a thing that like this is the Indian position and this is the Western position.
Right.
First of all, it's leaving out a lot of other voices. Second of all, is that actually the Indian position? I'm constantly shocked by the number of times I've heard people make this argument that somehow if ISKCON were to give the green light to female Diksha gurus, then we will somehow be like the scandal of the Indian world.
Right.
I come from that community, that culture. I work very closely with other Hindu groups and sampradayas and traditions. Like, we are not going to shock anyone with women gurus. Like, do you know the number of guru matas and guru devis and,
Right.
It's bewildering. And then that we have so many women Diksha gurus in the Gaudiya lineages. It's
exactly.
Just,
this is actually our tradition anyway.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have? We're going to bring on our next guest, but do you have any other points that you'd like to make?
Yeah, I think with Venkata Bhatta's statement, I don't think it is all Indians. It may be a majority, I don't know, but the people with the loudest voices make it seem like it's everybody. And in fact, it's a core that has brought this situation to where it is. And Hare Krishna, very, very, very sad.
Well, thank you for creating that video and for making your voice heard and for the voices of all the other God sisters you have, because I know you said there are devotees who are afraid of what the repercussion could be to speak out, and we appreciate that you did speak out. And
that video also has all the links to all the documents. This is just historical record. It's all there for anybody who wants to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Now, before we bring our next guest on, I just want to say, I mean, I know there's so much here. I highly recommend this book, by the way. It's been referenced already, and I know we had Konteya Prabhu on, but like, I want to encourage folks to do their own homework.
Yeah.
And read other things, not just this book. But I think this book, the reason I'm holding it up is not just the argument that Conte Prabhu makes, but the fact that he's done the work to compile all of these statements, to do the research, to list out in I feel a very objective way some of the main arguments for and against, and to really unpack them.
Yeah.
And when you do that, like I have to say, I went from sort of being a little bit, I wouldn't say on the fence, but I was a little, I had some ambivalence to like, it's just very clear to me, at least on the basis of if you want to look at what did Srila Prabhupada actually say about this, and what would, based on that, what would be aligned with Srila Prabhupada and what would be aligned with our Gaudiya history. I don't know, unless I'm missing something, and I'm happy to be corrected, but it's just, this is our history. So if you want to be traditional, then actually, I hate to disappoint anyone who claims to be a traditionalist and is against female Diksha gurus, but like, this is our tradition, actually.
Yeah.
Our lineages, traditional Gaudiya parivars, it's a part of our history, whether you like it or not.
Yes. So we don't want to just bring on devotees who are pro, but we also want to bring on devotees who are against. So I have a devotee who I was speaking to. His name is Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu. He is from the Indian Bureau. I'm going to call him. I've been trying to
get him on the...
No, I'm trying to message him, but he hasn't seen my...
If we can get him on the StreamYard, that'd be...
I know, I'm trying to, but
yeah.
I'm going to call him right now and see if he is able to join.
Because I do think that's super important, right? We want to make sure we're
we want to be balanced.
Yeah.
And hear the perspectives.
And let them voice the perspective in their own... Because I can't wrap my head around it.
I love the call-in feature. Isn't this so cool?
Call-in feature is cool.
So they can't call you, but you can call them.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srinivas Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You're live on the air now. Is it a good time still? I'm sorry.
I kind of ambush.
Wow. You got to give me exactly 10 more minutes if you can.
Okay. Yeah. 10 minutes. We'll give you 10 minutes.
We'll give you 10 minutes, and then can you come on the stream here?
Yeah. Sorry, because I'm just out of my. I'll have to apply tilak, and in 10 minutes exactly, I will be coming out there. That's a good surprise that you called me and I'm live.
sorry. But we'll give you 10 minutes. We'll give you 10 minutes. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Sure.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
See you in 10.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Great. See, this is a way we deal on the Namras podcast. We talk respectfully.
Vaishnav dealings.
Vaishnav dealings. Exactly. Let's call my friend Deva Madhava. I always love. You know Deva Madhava?
I don't know him so well.
Let's call him. He's such a great person to talk to. I love him.
This is like
such a nice devotee.
Dora.
Hey, Deva Madhava Prabhu.
Hari.
Jai.
How's it going?
I'm well. Am I live or am I not watching the live?
You are live.
You are live.
You're live, my friend.
Oh, okay. I was looking forward to hearing from Srinivas Prabhu. I need a little Purva Paksha.
He's gonna come on in 10 minutes. So let's talk. I mean, what's been your thoughts from listening so far?
Well, I appreciate y'all holding the space, doing something that needs to be done a lot more and allowing for conversation to happen. But I'm increasingly indignant around this issue because I'm so glad you had Pranada Devi on. Anyone that spends meaningful time speaking with her, when you hear about the history of the just disgusting treatment of women in our community, then the real pivot.
How do we?
A power play. It's just politics.
Right. You cut out there a little bit. Can you repeat that? What you just said?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm on the road. Speaking with any of our senior women and hearing what they've gone through, like I wouldn't be in Krishna consciousness anymore if I had to tolerate the disrespect and mistreatment and outright abuse that each of them went through. Like none of them were spared.
Right.
And when you have that perspective and then you see the humility that they approach, that deference to the GBC, I mean, from where does that come from except a faith that most men can't hope to touch in this lifetime?
Right.
Well,
and they're embarrassed and ashamed at the abject obviousness of the conviction and sincerity that are in these women's hearts and that they don't have any access to. And so their last ability to like feel any sense of confidence in their shame self is to throw out these random cherry-picked śāstra quotes and pretend like these women aren't just wiping the floor with them in Krishna consciousness already.
Yeah.
Wow, tell us how you really feel.
Right.
I mean,
I had this person who's coming on. I'm just going to go there. You know, I'll be your trashy audience member. This person who's coming on, I had something of a conversation with him on a Mayapur forum. The ringleader, Vasu Ghosh Prabhu, threw out a quote into like a hand grenade into the Mayapur forum, which is this internal email chain that Mayapur devotees are a part of to communicate helpful community things.
mm-hmm.
And Vasu Ghosh Prabhu thinks it's helpful to throw in some hand grenade of like women are stupid kind of message. And so then the thread began, and I was like, oh my God, here it is right in front of me. Like he's proactively, it's not just a kind of passive, well, sorry, the Shastra says this, but he's really proactively trying to agitate the minds of devotees. And in the course of the conversation, this person used the word Vaisnavi and said it was just this fabricated kind of new age feminist lingo that was never actually used by acharyas. And then one of his minions mistakenly quoted Bhaktisiddhanta directly using the word Vaishnavi.
Oh, wow.
Wow, so
And
he was trying to make the
vindicating.
argument that even the word Vaishnavi is some kind of...
Yeah, the
made
word
up thing.
Vaishnavi is bogus and concocted. And then inadvertently in the course of the discussion, the word Vaishnavi was quoted as being used by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta by one of the, you know, anti-Vaishnavi folks.
Right.
It felt so good. It was like Bhaktisiddhanta entered the chat and had his say.
Right.
Bhaktisiddhanta has
Don't
entered
say
the
they
chat.
can't. Don't say they can't.
Right.
Right.
I think you're also, I think I heard it from you first when I was into this topic, that like, why are we getting approval for gurus anyways? Like just become a guru.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's an important, the GBC has a natural place and they've far overstepped it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so Krishna warns many times, it's one of the few things he says in the Bhagavad Gita twice, don't do someone else's duty. And so while the GBC are busy trying to regulate guru, our temples are run in a kind of like, I'll be your trashy guest. Our temples are run in a mafia style with extremely unqualified administrators in most cases. And those are the folks that the GBC are actually supposed to be watching and maintaining a sense of like pulse on their integrity.
Right. That's where the oversight should come in.
That's where the oversight comes in. And then on the ground, every day, like I'm a temple president, and I got a message a few months ago from a GBC member questioning a person that I allowed to give a class in my temple. And they cited a few, cases of how this person's character may be questionable. And I wrote back and I said, Prabhu, if I was to listen to the concerns of every person who has ever spoken in my temple, then no one would be allowed to speak in my temple, including yourself. I know 12 people I could email right now that would tell me why you shouldn't be allowed in a temple.
Right.
And we're happy to have you come and speak because I'm the curator of this Sangha. I'm taking that responsibility on behalf of the community. And if something falls, it's my fault. That's on me.
Right, because that's your role.
If I invite a bad person, exactly. That is my responsibility. If I invite a bad person in, I take that fall. It's not on ISKCON and it's not on anybody else. That's the part of the price you pay for the, privilege, so to speak, of being that administrative role. And so over the years, we've had that happen a few times where maybe it's clear that, all right, this person shouldn't have been invited. And then we don't invite them back. And thankfully, it's all happened in good faith. So there's no loss.
Right.
That's the curation of the Sangha. That's how the parampara naturally kind of checks itself. And the GBC have far overstepped their sense of like supporting the parampara, and now they basically supplanted it. They speak as though they are the parampara,
right.
and without the sanction of their vision, then the rest of us are just kind of like invalid and incapable of protecting ourselves.
Well, Dave, I mean, I don't want to oversimplify, but is this maybe the pendulum that's just swung all the way, right? Like they're just like, you know, you had such an ineffectual sort of, you know, like practically non-existent GBC oversight in zonal Acharya days. And, you know, now as a sort of like perpetual overcorrection, it's like everything is regulated, everything is institutionalized. I mean, it sounds maybe a little like too pat and oversimplified, but could that be what's happening here?
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable observation, and the pendulum naturally swings. And so this is the irony, is that there's still an opportunity while these seniors are still on the planet. There's an opportunity to pursue the healthy middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
But if things go on the way they do, where they force us to hold on to this status quo of a split movement that looks not split, you know, for 2 weeks out of the year in Mayapur for Gaur Pranim Festival, it looks not split. And they get to go, you know, into Samadhi with that idea that we kept ISKCON together, and then they get to pin it on our generation that it's our fault that it's split when we don't tolerate it anymore, because obviously we don't anyway already.
Mm-hmm.
Then we lose the opportunity for having that senior presence to help us move through the natural awkwardness that's going to happen when the new generation start to do things their new generation way and make their contribution, make their addition to the way that the parampara will grow and expand and extend into more lives. Wouldn't it be nice to have grandma and grandpa still here to pick us up and dust us off and make sure things don't get too out of hand?
Right.
But in this present kind of choked situation, what you already have is a bunch of punk teenagers like me who are just incensed by this like overbearing helicopter parent dynamic. And when mom and dad are gone, then we're going to not only just make the normal mistakes, but we're also going to come with an edge of rebellion, as is typical when the kid finally gets out from under the thumb. Then it's like, I got to put my middle finger up too.
Yeah.
And there's going to be this unnecessary retributive kind of novelty that's thrown into the parampara just to prove somebody's like, you know, ego project, basically, which is always a concern, but it's getting exacerbated in the name of trying to protect the Sangha.
Right.
And so it's a very sad situation to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that in. That's like
very
very
well
sobering.
put.
Yeah.
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 Okay, I think our friend Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu is ready to come on.
Hey, Deva
good
Madhava,
news.
thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks,
and
Deva.
we put you on the spot, and you just did such a fantastic
every
job.
time I've had these live things, I've always called him, so he expects it.
He waits by his phone. He has nothing better
Sadly,
to do.
I just doing these things all the time. So thanks for my 10 minutes.
All right, Haribol, take care, Deva.
Haribol.
Thanks. Okay. I hope everyone liked Deva Madhava's perspective. I sure did, as always. Very thoughtful. Okay.
Absolutely. But I am.
It's
I am
funny that
curious.
they call the anti-party. That's
The
like
anti-party.
that's like from the Bhakti
That's a
Siddhanta
Bhakti.
days.
That's a Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada thing, right? The anti-party. I mean, I don't know if we'll be able to get into it here, but the more I learn about our own history, which admittedly I'm still constantly learning about it, the more I'm just like, how is this even an issue? I don't understand how we can unless you're willing to just say like we don't care about that history.
Oh no, that's totally what it is.
But that's, I mean, anyway, maybe we can ask Prabhu. But
Okay, here he is.
okay,
He's here.
let's talk to him.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Oh,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, are you with us?
we saw you for a second.
It looks like he's there, but
He's there, but
maybe it's just glitching or something.
Streamer's weird sometimes.
Is he testing the link? I think he's testing it. That's why it's in a holding
I'm
pattern.
gonna remove him and then. Okay.
But I am genuinely like, curious about that. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to ask him.
Hold on a second. Are we also going to hear from Elise or just you guys shooting the breeze? You're late, my friend. You're Winklebird. You're late to the party. We already had two amazing Vaishnavis on.
Exactly, but we can.
You're gonna have to. You can have
ladies first. We put them on first.
We did. And after Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu, we're gonna have Gora Keshav Prabhu on. I don't know if you know Gora Keshav Prabhu, but he is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada who Prabhupada actually told him to learn from the Sri Vaishnav lineages about Pancharatric practices and rituals.
And he's gone pretty deep into that.
Oh my goodness, he's like one of
taken some real like formal study and vows and things.
Like you want to talk about traditional ritual.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, Nam. It's like I was really expecting sort of the voices of tradition, but when I look at some of that history and tradition, I'm like, well, it seems to support the idea of female Diksha gurus. Am I missing something?
It seems to support
where's the tradition that's against it? It seems like that's more of the newfangled thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
At least in our tradition.
I mean, they harp on that one, the Dhruva Maharaj quote.
Yeah, but the Dhruva Maharaj, I mean, again.
No, I didn't know about that they changed it.
Yeah.
Yo,
well,
I was like, what?
Not changed it. So this is not a book change thing.
Sorry.
But what it is, and I think Hayagriva Prabhu was the editor, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
The head editor or whatever. But what it is like to go, right, the whole process to go from dictaphone to transcription.
Yeah.
To what shows up on the page. And somewhere in that process, so it's not a book change. It's just as it goes through the editorial process.
It was just edited.
What we think, and I don't think it was edited because Hayagriva was trying to make a point about this.
Right.
I think it was just he switched around the words to make it more succinct, right? Because when you go from like a slogan to and in the process inadvertently makes, he kind of changes the meaning and makes it sound like her being a woman is the main thing that Prabhupada wants to stress there, where it's really clear if you look at, the transcription, that the point that Prabhupada is making is the family relationship thing. It's that Sunita was his mother.
Right. Maybe we should just do.
By the way, also like even that Dhruva Suniti thing, I still don't understand how that holds, how that's somehow dispositive when like Prabhupada is directly asked about female Diksha gurus. And he says, yes, Professor O'Connell, I have the quote in front of me. Professor O'Connell, this is in 1976. He says, is it possible, Swamiji, for a woman to be a guru in the line of disciplic succession? And Prabhupada's answer is, what do you think he's going to say?
He says no.
He says yes.
He says yes.
He says the like not unqualified yes. Period. Full stop. Right. So it's not like actually it's no yes.
No, but then
what does he say? He says Janava Devi was Nityananda's wife. She became the qualification of guru. So Nam, to your point earlier that you were saying, well, what about the qualification of guru? Right. Qualification of guru is that he must be fully cognizant of the science of Krishna. Then listen to Prabhupada's words. Then he or she can become guru. I mean, like literally, he uses the pronoun.
Okay, let's call. We're gonna call him on WhatsApp. Let's see if this works instead.
Wait, while we do that, let me just read.
Yeah.
I love this because maybe it's just like the fact that I'm in academia, but Prabhupada is so he's so direct and so clear. He goes, knowing he's speaking to a professor, he says, even in our material world, is it any prohibition that woman cannot become professor? If she is qualified, she can become professor.
Right.
I mean,
King
it's pretty
Patriarch
clear.
224 says, why didn't Prabhupada implement it when alive?
Well, King Patriarch, I mean, I think if Prabhupada did implement having his disciples be gurus in his presence, which is an interesting thing to think about, I believe, based on what he himself said, that he would have implemented. But the fact is, he didn't implement it for men either. So I don't know if we can point to the absence of Prabhupada not quote unquote appointing, female Diksha gurus during his life, because he didn't appoint any gurus. But if I had to guess, right? I know guessing is not something that is generally, part of our process. But if I had to take an educated guess, which I think is part of our process, I would say, yes, he would have implemented it. How do I know this? Because back in 1969, he wrote a letter to Hamsadutta. You know the famous Hamsadutta letter? I want all my spiritual sons and daughters. Do you know this one, Nam?
Oh, the one you told me that one.
I want that all
Bhakti
of my,
Vedanta.
yeah, I want that all of my spiritual sons and daughters will inherit this title of Bhaktivedanta so that the family transcendental diploma will continue through the generations. That's a pretty clear indication of what Prabhupada wants. He says,
Tell him that thing about what you said about descriptive and prescriptive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Make that point, please.
Yeah, but let me just continue. So those possessing the title of Bhaktivedanta will be allowed to initiate disciples. And then Prabhupada says, interesting, maybe by 1975, all of my disciples will be allowed to initiate and increase the number of the generations. And then I love this line, it says, that is my program, which I think is also a great argument against the Ritvik folks, because this is Prabhupada's program. He wants his disciples to have disciples of their own, to initiate. Specifically, he uses the word initiate, not just instruct. Right. And he says, my spiritual sons and daughters. Now, the other great thing about this, by the way, not a lot of folks realize this, but Nam, do you know that Hamsadutta's wife wrote to Prabhupada after this? Do you know this story?
No.
Hamsadutta was married at the time. He was a grihastha. His wife's name was Himavati, right? Himavati writes to Srila Prabhupada and wants clarification because Hamsadutta, I guess they were sharing the contents of the letters.
Yeah.
And certainly he shared it with his wife. She is blown away by this, Prabhupada saying this. She writes for clarification. Prabhupada writes back to her. So later in January 1969, this is early January.
I wish we could pull this up on the.
I know we should. We can post it somewhere or something. But later Prabhupada actually clarifies, and he says yes, in reference to your question,
wait, hold on a second.
Yes, both the boys and the girls, there is no restriction.
Where's the PDF for this book? What is it called?
It's called Women. Did Srila Prabhupada want women Diksha gurus? It's too bad Konteya Prabhu was not with us. He could. So again, and to your point, and you were asking about, while we're waiting, you were asking about prescriptive and descriptive. Here's the book. You got the book? Yeah. I could tell you the page number if that's helpful.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anyway, but the thing about prescriptive and descriptive, just
go tell us that point. That was such a good point.
So when we look at Prabhupada's statements, and I can't take credit for this. This is something I've heard from others. I think Konteya Prabhu, Chaitanya Sharan Prabhu. But you have to evaluate statements as either prescriptive or descriptive statements. When Prabhupada is talking about something that has happened, and that it happened in previous yugas or something in the Bhagavatam, generally he's being descriptive. When Prabhupada's saying, I want this to be like this, you should do that, that's prescriptive. And when we look at the statements that Prabhupada makes, like this letter to Hamsadutta, that's a prescriptive statement. That's not a merely descriptive. That's not just saying, oh, Suniti was not able to be Diksha Guru because, XYZ. That's a descriptive statement. You can draw out a prescription from that. You can interpret that, read between the lines, but that's not the same as Prabhupada saying, this is what I want to happen in ISKCON. Right. The closest thing we have to that is some of these statements, like these letters and the conversation with Professor O'Connell, that makes it pretty clear that Prabhupada says, I want for my spiritual sons and daughters. Anyway, that's my understanding, but our next guest, I'm guessing, has a very different take on it. And respectfully, we want to learn and hear from him on what that take is. And is he gone?
Yeah,
Where did he go?
Gone.
Oh gosh. We had him.
I know. What happened? We made him wait too long, man.
All right. I am curious in the meantime if anyone wants to comment. How do you understand this? The letter to Hamsadutta? How do you understand the conversation with Professor O'Connell? How do you understand the first draft of Prabhupada's statements about Suniti and Dhruva? If you disagree with, if I'm getting wonky in my interpretation, my read, please let us know.
What's the exact letter? Letter to Himavati?
To Himavati. I'll try to pull it up as well. 1969, January 1969.
Here it is.
You got it?
Yeah.
Is this the one? Oh yeah, look at the last paragraph of that regarding your questions about the examinations to be given.
How do I make this bigger? Okay, I can share my screen. Okay, check this out. For all
Okay.
of you watching, this is what we're talking about.
So Prabhupada, in this previous letter to Hamsadutta, had written this thing about the examinations and Bhaktivedanta, the title of Bhaktivedanta, the title of, and she must have written to Prabhupada, and then he wrote back. And he said,
Okay, he's on. He's on. Let's just
go to him then.
let's go to him. At the stage. Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear us? Hare Krishna?
Haribol Prabhu, are you there?
Oh man. Hare Krishna? Let's just go to WhatsApp. Let's just do WhatsApp. It's taking a long time.
Anyway, while we're pulling him up on WhatsApp. And if anyone wants to see if you can see it on your screen there, Prabhupada's clarification to Himavati is regarding your questions about the examinations to be given. The girls will also be able to take these. And then Prabhupada could have left it at that, but look what he adds. In Krishna consciousness, there is no distinction between girls and boys. The girls also may become preachers if they are able. Again, here he's not specifically using the language of guru, but you have to look at it in the context of the letter that he sent to Hamsadutta about the same topic, where he said specifically, I want my spiritual sons and daughters to initiate.
Yeah. People are not bored. You have a stand-up routine in between?
I mean, everything I do is stand-up routine, I would hope. I thought the shaving line was pretty good, but we might get some hate mail for that one.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can you hear us? Oh man.
We're having some kind of technical issue. And I know there are going to be some conspiracy theorists out there who think that we're like trying to avoid it, but we want the other side. We want, we reached out and we've like lined this up, and somehow or other, it's like the third or fourth time we're trying to connect. I don't know if it's like an India connection issue.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can you hear us? What should we do?
Should we go to Gorkeshwa? Do we have Gorkeshwa?
We do have him.
Let's just go to Gorkeshwa, and then we could always try to come back to Sridhar Srinivas if we're able to actually get him on the line.
Gorkeshwa Prabhu is a very fascinating devotee. Very historically,
yeah, he's really kind of grounded in history, tradition. Beyond, Gaudiya history, but also
look at this.
Sri Vaishnava history.
Prabhus, how do you understand what Srila Prabhupada said to Professor after he said, yes, why not? But it is very rare. Good point. How do you explain that? It's very rare. Very rare.
I explain that by the fact that it is very rare. It has been historically rare in our tradition. Why? I could guess that, societal factors make the way that men and women live their lives very different, particularly in traditional, societies. So it was probably more rare. But again, I kind of go back to the fact that something is rare, right? Presupposes that thing exists and is. Do you follow that logic?
Yes.
So just to say something is rare,
That's such a good point.
to say something is rare, I don't understand how this is like the argument that to say something is rare doesn't negate the fact that it's there. It's just like you won't find that many examples of it. It's rare.
So therefore we should
not do it. Like that doesn't seem like, one could make the same argument. In our lineage, in the history of our whole lineage, how many so-called Yavana, Malecha, whatever, right? Like non-Indian, non-people from not a Hindu background have there been? Relatively speaking, it's pretty rare, right? Historically, does that mean that it's illegitimate? No, not at all. So I don't understand, unless I'm missing something, why the rareness is a problem.
They were Nitya Siddhas. Someone taking to Krishna consciousness is rare also. Yep.
Yeah,
it's
great
true.
point. Adoree.
Becoming a pure devotee is rare too.
Yeah.
Everything's rare.
Right. Rare is not necessarily even like a put down, right? Something is rare when there's like, as folks have noted, right? Krishna consciousness itself is rare.
Doesn't mean we stop people from doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It means women should be at least on the level of bhava or prema. This is Sankarshan Prabhu. Maybe we should call him Sankarshan Prabhu.
What level should men be on, by the way? How come we're not talking about that?
Okay, Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu is here. All right. Oh,
Something's happening.
are you there, Prabhu? Oh, yes. Hare Krishna, can you hear us?
Yeah, the network is
Are you
flaky.
there?
I don't know.
It's working. I can hear you. I can see you. And it's frozen.
Is it?
Krishna.
Prabhuji, I'm guessing he's speaking and everything, and we just can't.
It's like buffering.
Something like that.
You saw him for a minute. Is there any conversation?
I like someone help me to understand the whole rareness argument. So it's like women, it's rare, therefore women have to be like at this like much higher place. But for men, for some reason, they don't need to be on that. Is that seriously the argument that's being made? Because if so, then I don't understand what is the Shastric Pramana for that. Right. We would imagine if that were the case, then there would probably be at least, if not tons of Shastric references, but there would be some Shastric references that would say the qualification for Diksha Guru for a man is XYZ and for a woman is such and such. And the such and such would be, a much higher bar, which is essentially what folks are arguing. But that doesn't seem like a very Shastric idea to me at all. And I haven't heard anyone present evidence, that our tradition speaks like that. In fact, I've heard the opposite, that our tradition actually speaks about the qualifications of guru in a gender neutral way. I think Mahanidhi Swami was making this point, right?
Yeah. His video was good.
That's a great video.
Someone keeps donating $5 to make comments. It's awesome. Call Mukunda Prabhu. Oh yeah, Mukunda Prabhu. I wonder if he's around. I mean, Gorkesha Prabhu is also joined. I mean, we don't have much time either. It's been an hour and 35 minutes. I got a family to get back to.
Yeah, I know. Also, I want to. There's some comments being made, and I want to also respond to like the point, as far as I understand.
Wait. Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This seems to be, I don't know. This is my last attempt at this. It's never been like this.
Okay, it works
right,
now.
it
We're
works.
so glad to see you. We're
let's go with
thank you so much for joining. So Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu, please just tell us a little bit briefly about yourself for those of us who don't know you.
And in the interest of time, maybe you can also say what brings you to this particular issue. So
Yes.
Yeah. My name is Sridhar Srinivas Das. I am born and brought up in Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, India, in a Sri Vaishnava family, and I've been trained by my grandfather on all these, Vaishnava ceremonies and rituals from childhood.
Oh no.
it's okay. Maybe it's just buffering.
Engineer, and in the 90s, when you are a software
I wonder if you can see us.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, Mukunda Prabhu is watching. Can we please have one verse from our Mula Shastra Srimad Bhagavatam that speaks to gender in regard to Guru Tattva? Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu, you're frozen.
Can we switch to WhatsApp.
Gorkesha Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gorkesha Prabhu.
Were you able to see it? Were you able to see what we were doing with the other devotee? Like while you were in the...
Not interested.
No, no, but I mean like that we were trying to get him
We were
on or
trying to
anything
get
like-
him, Prabhu. We were trying to get him, and there was a buffering issue or something. So his video froze.
Okay.
So I think we may
Anyways,
need to move on. And
Let's move on. Let's move on.
yeah.
We might get him after you. So Gorkesha Prabhu, thank you so much for joining. Can you just give us like 30 seconds of your resume for the devotees who don't know you that well?
And can you then connect it to what brings you to this issue?
What connects me to this issue?
Well, first,
Okay.
a little bit about yourself.
Joined ISKCON in the 70s in Australia. I've been in ISKCON. I've been head pujari of many temples, performed a lot of Vaishnava rituals all over the world, installed deities all over the world after Prabhupada left. Lived in India for decades, studied Vedic scriptures, studied Vaishnava ritualism. I have a degree in Vaishnavism from Madras University. What else do you want to know? I'm a well-wisher of ISKCON, of course.
Yeah, but
And
you know what I want? I want your comments on this issue, and I don't want you to hold back on anything. I want you to just give it to me.
before we get there, can you just give us a sentence or two about your relationship with the Sri Vaishnava tradition?
Okay, so I mean, when we joined ISKCON back in the 70s, there was the only Vaishnava tradition in the West, in Australia anyway, like that was ISKCON. So after going to India, I saw that there are lots of different Vaishnava traditions and things like that. And initially, I was interested in studying Vaishnava ritualism. Mm-hmm. So Vaishnava ritualism in ISKCON goes back to Hari Bhakti Vilas and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Gopal Bhatta Goswami was a Sri Vaishnava, originally became a Gaudiya. So after studying in North India, in Vrindavan, with people like Vishwambhara Goswami, good friend of Srila Prabhupada's, and after going to Jaipur and seeing the worship of Radha Govinda and seeing the worship of Radha Raman, all these things Prabhupada asked us to do. And when Prabhupada came to Australia, he was installing deities. I was present. He said, learn Vedic mantras, learn the Purusha Shukta for installation. So I did that. I went to India, wanted to learn more. So I wanted to learn more. Finally, I had to go back to the source, Sri Rangam, the source of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, in order to learn more. Mm-hmm. So I kept learning more and more and more about the origin of all the Vaishnavas, basically sects, is a school called Pancharatra. There are different agamas or different there are different schools of Vaishnava worship. Right. And one of them is Vaikhanasa, one is Pancharatra. Vaikhanasa is closed. It's a closed school. It's only for there's a Gotra or a seminal succession. If you're born in that family, that's fine. If you're not, Pancharatra is for everybody. Pancharatra is for everybody. It's for every man, it's for every woman, it's for every child. Right? It sees everybody equally, spiritually, and therefore it's there for, and it's the one that most Vaishnava Sampradayas, like the Madhva Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, mostly Sri Sampradaya, they also have some Vaikhanasins, and Gaudiya Sampradaya, all the different lineages of Vaishnavas follow that system. So we have two basic things here. We have philosophy and theology, which have doctrines. Mm-hmm. And then putting the doctrines into practice, we have Vaishnava ritualism, which means agama or tantra, the method of worshiping God. So there's theory and there's practice. So you have to know the theory and you have to know the practice.
And so what brings you to that, with that background, and thank you for that, what brings you to this particular issue, this particular conversation?
Well, I invited him, first of all. He actually, from what you told me, probably this is not an issue for you at all.
Yeah, it's not an issue for me. I mean, there's many issues that occur in different sampradayas. Let's put it that way. Okay. So what we mean by sampradayas is we mean traditions. Okay. So there's different traditions. And in those, having studied at the university level, Hinduism and Vaishnavism, I have a degree specifically in Vaishnavism. Okay, so all different traditions have slight differences in them. There might be some slight differences in them, and those differences in practice come about from the difference of interpretation of doctrine. And in Vaishnavism, as with other forms of Hinduism, we have a different epistemological system. We believe in logic. We believe in sense perception, pratyaksha anumana. We also believe in the validity of scriptures, and there are a variety of scriptures. Now, amongst the different scriptures that we take proofs from for our doctrines, which turn into practices, right? Amongst those are Shruti or Veda, the Veda itself, the original, old as gold, the oldest scriptures, or the eternal scriptures, the unauthored scriptures, which are defectless. And then there are other scriptures which come along, which are perhaps considered less authoritative. They're also authoritative in certain circumstances. So the problems sometimes occur when people take quotes from one less authoritative source and then they put it against something which is more authoritative, like that. So within every group, within every group, there'll also be living gurus, teachers, acharyas, we call them, who interpret those things for their followers, like that. So there might be a Swami Narayan Sampradaya, and Swami Narayan says, my male followers should initiate my male disciples, and their wives should initiate the female disciples. That's an interesting take on it, but we don't see that in some other sects. We don't see that in some other traditions. Okay, so trying to get towards this particular difference in interpretation. We can look at different groups and we can see how do they deal with it. Now, ultimately, every group's got to decide for themselves. Every tradition has got to decide for themselves on all these different, if there's some issue. And we see that amongst religions all the time. Right. You know, you have Catholics want a Latin Mass and Protestants don't want a Latin Mass, and, you know, all these sort of things. So first of all, we have to understand epistemology. What is proof? What is a greater proof? What's a lesser proof? We have to also understand what are the proofs that we have and how they relate to each other. If there's a conflict between two different proofs, like for example, Prabhupada says, you know, in one place he says, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 147 purport, he says that there's no difference between the shelter-giving Supreme Lord and the initiating and instructing spiritual masters. If one foolishly discriminates between them, he commits an offense in the discharge of devotional service, right? Mm. So is there a group of people who follow Prabhupada? Because for people who don't follow Prabhupada, maybe that's not so important because that's what Prabhupada said. Well, that's what he wrote. So amongst people who follow Prabhupada, are there people who discriminate between Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru? In ISKCON, is there a distinction?
Right.
There are a lot of people who can say, oh, everybody can be a Shiksha Guru, right? But they say specifically this class of person can't be a Diksha Guru, right? So here we have a direct quote from Prabhupada, and this quote is coming from a purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita in a section specifically about gurus, right? So it should be Guru Tattvas explained in the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila. Okay, you look at it; it's called The Spiritual Masters. So it's a very important thing, and there's a lot of things about Guru there. But then again, you have some other quote from Prabhupada that says, Suniti, being a woman and specifically his mother, could not be the Diksha Guru of
Dhruva
Maharaj. Yeah. Right. So those things seem to be in conflict, don't they? When Prabhupada says you can't distinguish, you shouldn't distinguish between a Shiksha and Diksha Guru. Right. And then there's a distinction being made here between a Shiksha and Diksha Guru.
Oh, I understand your
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I do want to kind of we might jump around a little bit, but the one of the sort of strongest critiques or reasons given against having female Diksha gurus is that it would be, and as one prominent leader called it, it would basically turn us into an Upasampradaya. It would be a
yeah.
break from tradition.
That's from the Shivram
a break
Swami,
from history.
Video. yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So
Given
okay.
your
So
own study of the
okay.
history of
Okay. So
tradition,
yeah, it would
do you
turn
think
us into an Upasampradaya, just like Bhaktivinod's Upasampradaya. Then, right? Bhaktivinod is initiated in a Diksha Parampara with at least 3 women gurus.
That's right. Did you know this?
So,
No.
so that means,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
so what we're saying is ISKCON would become just like Bhaktivinod. We would become Upasampradaya. Like Bhaktivinod is Upasampradaya, right? Is Bhaktivinod Upasampradaya?
I don't think they want to make that. I don't think they want to say that.
No, I actually engaged in an email conversation decades ago with some people from the infamous GHQ. This has been going on for decades, right? And the title of the email thread was Bhaktivinod had a dead Diksha mantra.
Wow.
Okay, so there are people who dare to say these things,
Mhm.
right? But what ultimately does it? I mean, does it make any sense to say that there shouldn't be any? When we, I think they've mellowed their stance since then, and they've accepted at least that Janava Thakurani was a guru. Am I right?
Yes.
So whoever is saying today that there can't be any female Diksha gurus, that person should keep up with the times, because that has completely been eliminated.
Historical. That's just not even.
Can I
I mean, I have names.
Can't even discuss it.
Can I say
If that's the best thing that you've got, throw me another one.
Can I say something, Prabhu? Do you think that a part of the confusion also comes from the addition of the thread and the Brahma Gayatri by
Again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, no Brahman thread, no Upanayana.
Right.
Is he Upper Sampradaya? Is he Upper Sampradaya because he doesn't have a Brahman thread?
No, but now
is he not a guru in your parampara?
Right.
Because he doesn't have a Brahman thread.
But I guess the argument is now that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada has, taken that step and added that.
What does parampara mean?
Hmm.
What does Krishna say parampara means in Bhagavad Gita? It means that the knowledge is passed down without change, correct?
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. Imam Rajashraya Vidu. Okay. So if it hasn't changed, then what's the problem? That means if there's been no change between Bhaktivinod and ISKCON, Bhaktivinod and Bhaktisiddhanta, if there's no change in Sampradaya, if there's no change in Parampara, if the Parampara isn't broken, right? It means that what Bhaktivinod is saying and what Bhaktisiddhanta is saying, what Bhaktivinod is doing, what Bhaktisiddhanta is doing is the same. Now, if there's a detail that's different between them, then that's inconsequential.
Right.
If it's consequential, then it's broken Parampara. Right. So what has to happen is people have to decide: did we start a new parampara, or do we belong to a broken parampara?
Right. You can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways.
Right.
Have your cake or eat it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
Right. Right. Also, I do want to respond to. I see some comments, and there is this common, what I would say, misunderstanding that Bhaktivinoda Thakur rejected Bipin Bihari Goswami. There's absolutely no evidence that Bhaktivinoda Thakur rejected Bipin Bihari. In fact, there's glorification of Bipin Bihari Goswami.
Correct. Yes.
And I would just caution everyone to be very, very careful when we're talking about, preeminent personalities in our own lineage, in our own tradition, that we're going to go to the extent of saying, oh, well, none of them mattered because, we just reject Bipin Bihari Goswami, and therefore we reject.
There's a lot of rumor about all the breakup of the Gaudiya Math, and who did what to what, and who sued who, and we having it now in ISKCON also, who sued who, right. And the same thing in before Bhaktivinoda. Bhaktivinoda, whether he felt like this or whether he didn't feel like this or whatever it is like that, trying to read the minds of people who are dead, Purvaracharyas who are dead. Like Prabhupada, if he was here, if Bhaktivinoda was here, if Bhaktisiddhanta was here, they would definitely say this. Who knows?
Right.
Who are you to say? Who are you to say that Bhaktivinoda did this or Bhaktivinoda did that? There's one group saying this for their purpose and another group saying that for their purpose. This is not proof. This is not how Vaishnavas prove things doctrinally. They prove them with Shastra quotes. They prove them with logic. They prove them with pratyaksha also. These are the pratyaksha, anumana, shabda. That's what you have to use.
That's our pramanas, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Not hearsay. Not hearsay. Not hearsay.
Prabhu, one of the claims that's made is that other Vaishnava sampradayas will be horrified and will consider us.
Other Vaishnava sampradayas are already horrified that you have foreigners as gurus.
So from your experience with your Sri Vaishnava teachers and friends and colleagues within the Sri Vaishnava world, what is the
Consensus.
I know there's not one opinion.
Let us not move the goalposts here.
Mm-hmm.
What is the question? The question is what? What is the question? Is the question, do they allow, does anybody in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya allow female gurus? Is that the question? That's not the question, I don't think. So
Well,
you're
that's
moving the
a question.
goalposts. I just gave you an example in the Swami Narayan Sampradaya. Swami Narayan, verse 100 of Shikshapatri says, I and my followers follow the Sri Bhashya and the Gita Bhashya of Ramanuja. Swami, whatever you think of the Swami Narayans today, whether you like them or hate them, their foundational acharya said, me and my followers follow Ramanuja's commentaries. We're essentially a branch of Sri Vaishnavism.
Right.
What did he say to his followers? The male disciples should initiate males and the females initiate females.
Yeah.
The wives of the acharyas can initiate the women. This is one of the things that we hear from so many people. If there's women gurus, there'll be mixing of men and women. Prabhupada was already criticized for mixing men and women by having them living in the same building, the temple building.
Right.
And what did Prabhupada say? What did Prabhupada say in that famous discussion about this thing with on June 18th, 1976 with Dr. O'Connell? Here's what he said. There are so many Western women, girls in our society. They are chanting, dancing, taking to Krishna consciousness. Of course, because specifically, bodily, there is some distinction. So we keep women separately from men. That's all. Otherwise, the rights are the same.
Mm-hmm.
The rights are the same. That's in the conversation about women gurus.
Yeah.
And he says, Ye Krishna Tattva Veda, say Guru Hoy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He quotes from Chaitanya Charitamrita, right?
Right.
And he says, he quotes from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he says, let me read it. That he says, the qualification of guru is that he must be fully conversant with the science of Krishna. Then he or she can become guru. Now, how clear is that? Is that clear? That's clear from Prabhupada, right?
Yeah.
So people who are against she becoming guru, right? People who only think he can become guru, they are against that statement by Srila Prabhupada. Now,
and they should own that. They should just be honest about that, right? And just say,
they should be honest. They should be honest and say, when Prabhupada said that, he made a mistake.
Yeah, let them say that. Right. Let them say
it. Prabhupada made a mistake. When he wrote letters and he said, I want all my disciples, you all have to take up becoming guru. He made a mistake. Or he just meant that they should be Shiksha gurus. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, if you distinguish between Shiksha and Diksha guru, you commit a great offense. That's why I read that to you first.
Right.
So who is committing the offense, that offense that Prabhupada wrote about? Everybody, the GBC too, because they make a distinction too.
Right.
Everyone in ISKCON is making a distinction between Shiksha guru and Diksha guru. What does Prabhupada say? Prabhupada says, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 135 is a very, very good thing. He says that that was from 147, okay, that there's no difference, right? And 135, he says, generally, the Shiksha Guru becomes the Diksha Guru later on.
Mhm.
Do we have a system like that in ISKCON?
Not really, no.
Okay, so why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good question.
I mean, okay, lip service. Lip service means what? Lip service means that I even put it in writing and I make a rule about it, I make a GBC resolution about it. Prabhupada is the preeminent Shiksha Acharya for ISKCON, for everyone in ISKCON. And then when Prabhupada says something, I say, yeah, except when he says that.
Right.
Except when he writes that.
He didn't really mean that.
He meant something different.
He was just trying to encourage them.
No, that's okay. Now the thing is, we can see, as I said, with the Suniti quote and the other quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita, which one is more important? The quote that comes from the section all about Guru Tattva, or the quote that's a throwaway quote there?
Mhm.
We don't know why Suniti couldn't be Diksha Guru of Dhruva Maharaj. Did she even have Diksha? You certainly have to have Diksha to give it. Let me give you another example of somebody who couldn't give Diksha. Bilva Mangala Thakur, and that's also described in that Guru Tattva section. Bilva Mangala Thakur had 3 gurus.
One of them was the
first one was his Vatma Pradashika guru, also known as a Shiksha guru, Chintamani the prostitute.
Right.
Now, would it be good for us to make prostitutes Diksha gurus in ISKCON? No, I don't think so. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that, right?
Mhm.
And he didn't take initiation from her. Did she even have initiation? Right? We don't know, right? He took initiation from Somagiri, right? And then he also, if you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's in the same section. It's a quote from Krishna Karnamrita, I believe, and he offers his obeisances to Chintamani first, because that's his first guru,
Mhm.
right? Even though she's a prostitute. And then he offers obeisances to Somagiri, his Diksha guru. And then he offers obeisances to the Supreme Personality of God, who is everybody's Chaitya guru,
Mhm.
who is the Paramatma within us all. So we always have to remember that all these gurus we're talking about externally, but there's also another guru inside. And what does Prabhupada say in that statement about not always seeing that all the gurus are the same, or on the same level, always offering our respects to all the gurus? They're on the same level with God. The guru is to be worshipped and to be respected as God. Does that mean that you go to the prostitute and take initiation? No, you don't. You go to Somagiri because he's the external person you take initiation from in the case of Bilva Mangala.
Right.
You also still remember that the Supreme Personality of God, it is in your heart, and he's also Chaitya Guru. So, but you offer respect to all 3, and you don't see them as different. If you see them as different, Prabhupada says that's an offense.
Sense. Yeah.
So more in the context of ISKCON and what's going on right now, what are your thoughts on?
I'll tell you another story. Lots of stories. Tell you a story. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in South India, and there were some Buddhists, and the Buddhists, they brought a plate of food that was unoffered, and we only eat offered food as Vaishnavas, right? We offer it to God, and then we take the prasadam. So they offered this food to Sri Chaitanya. So before Chaitanya could take the food, right, it was knocked out of his hand, and the plate hit the head Buddhist on the head, and he collapsed. All the Buddhists, everybody knows this story. All the Buddhists, right, were freaking out. So they said, our master, our Buddhist master, right, our guru, our teacher, right, he's unconscious. What should we do? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiated them into the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on the spot. Then They said, what should we do? And he said, I initiated you into you see, Bhakti in the purport Prabhupada says, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has explained that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiated them into the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and he got them to initiate their guru into the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. These people became Harinam gurus instantly. Did they have to follow regular principles, chant 16 rounds before they became gurus? No, they became Harinam gurus instantly by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He gave them the mantra. Then instead of him chanting the mantra and waking up, he made them do it.
Right.
And that is a type of guru too. Different types of gurus. Harinam guru, Vaishnava Diksha guru. There's also Upanayanam. You have the Brahma Gayatri guru. In the case of Vanashram, there's people who are initiated into the study of the Vedas. Both men and women were initiated into the study of the Vedas. The women were called Brahmavadinis, and there were Rishikas. There were women rishis, Maitreyi and Lopamudra, and all these people. You know, if you want, I give you the information. And
Right.
in the Shastras, so the original Vedic system was not caste by birth, was not by gender. Okay, the original system was not. If you look in the Chandogya Upanishad, we have the Satyakam Jabala story. The bastard son of a maidservant goes to Gautama Rishi, right, and says, "I want to join your Gurukul." And in those days, it was only Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya boys that were going to the Gurukul, and he went. And he said, "I want to." Yeah, and he said, "Okay, tell me a little bit about your family history." And he said, "Well, he went to his mother, and mother said, I don't even know who your father is, right? There's so many men, right? Okay, like that." And so he went back and he told that to the guru, and the guru said, "Oh, you told me the truth. You didn't try to hide it. You told me the truth.
You're a Brahmin.
But because of your truthfulness, you're a Brahmin, and I accept you, and I accept you in my Gurukul, right? Like that." So. And we have examples. We have so many examples in the Vedic age where there was much more. Okay, one of the problems is that they say, "Oh, egalitarianism, that's feminism, and that's spiritual egalitarianism is actually correct. Materially, we're not the same, right? Somebody's fat, somebody's thin, somebody's Christian, somebody's Muslim, somebody's Asian, somebody's Caucasian, somebody's blacks, whatever. We're not equal. We're not equal materially. Somebody's a man, somebody's a woman, right? We're not materially, we're not the same. But spiritually, what's the first lesson that Prabhupada taught us? You are not this body. You are spirit soul. Guess what? All spirit souls are the same.
Yeah.
You know the story about Mirabai, right? Somebody went to Mirabai and Mirabai said, "I want to meet, Rupa Goswami."
Rupa Goswami,
Right.
And they went to Rupa Goswami and said, "Do you want to meet Mirabai? She's a great saint, blah, blah, blah." And Rupa Goswami said, "No, I'm a sannyasi. I can't. I'm a, Babaji, I guess. So, I can't. I'm a renunciate. I'm not going to meet a woman like that." And went back to this doesn't look good for Gaudiyas, this story, okay? Like that. Goes back, probably a lot of Gaudiyas won't like the story, right? You don't have to believe it. I'm just telling it, right? It's a common story, right? Okay, goes back to Mirabai and says, he won't meet with you because you're a woman. She says, "Oh, there's another man in Braj?"
Yeah.
Meaning we are all all female, essentially. Yeah. So if there's a job which is based on spiritual qualification, guess what? We're all Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasa Dasanu Dasi. Right. We are all Dasis. Are we not the soul? Even in Sri Vaishnavism, it's accepted at initiation. In Sri Vaishnavism, they call the initiation it's like a marriage ceremony to God.
And
the guru at initiation acts like the father-in-law and gives away the bride, right? And the soul is then wedded to God. Okay. So this is a very common analogy like that. Actually, we have already an eternal relationship with God. We don't need to marry him. Okay, but we are all considered spiritually feminine because we are not Purusha. He's the Purusha. He's the Mahapurusha. Okay, so people who think masculine, feminine, blah 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 blah, it's all on the material level. Yes, we need some of it for social things. So we have to have the men's restroom and the women's restroom. Like we have to have the brahmacharini ashram and we have to have the brahmachari ashram, right? That's what Prabhupada said. He said that. He said we keep men and women away. They don't sleep with each other. We have a different part of the temple. Right. He said apart from that, the rites are the same.
The rights are the same.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's I think a good place to
and we have to
close because we also have
the other side.
Okay, I want to tell you one more thing. Just give me 5 seconds here.
Okay.
In Hari Bhakti Vilas, okay, we can understand this. There's a section in the 5th Vilas where it says, okay, it gives a quote, and the quote is like this: that there's a quote from scripture, right? It's talking about everybody should worship Shalagram Shila. So 450 says, in this way, the Lord in the form of Shalagram Shila stone should be fully worshipped by everyone, by the twice born, by women and Sudras devoted to the Lord. So then the purport by Sanatana Goswami says, there's statements in the scripture, in some scripture, I am worshipable by a Brahmana alone, whether pure or impure. The touch of the hand of a woman or a Sudra strikes me like a bolt of lightning. Right? Right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay, so can women and Sudras, people who are not born in Dvija families, right? Because in the medieval times, according to Manu Samhita, if you look in the 10th chapter of Manu Samhita, who is a Brahmin, who is a Kshatriya, who is a Vaishya, right? That in the 10th chapter, which talks about mixed castes, right? Bhagavad Gita, we hear Arjuna talking about mixed castes.
Right.
How can there be a mixing of varnas or castes when we kill all? Arjuna's argument to Krishna is, if we kill all these generals, all these Kshatriyas, their wives will all be, will be raped by these men, and we'll get unwanted progeny. We'll get varna sank. We'll get mixing of varnas. How does mixing of varna come about by birth? If caste isn't by birth, if varna isn't by birth, then how can it be mixed by birth? According to Manu, in the medieval period, right, it became caste by birth only. Whereas we saw in the Upanishads with Satyakam Jabala, it wasn't like that. In the Vedic system, women could be rishis. Okay, but in the medieval, it got codified in the Asura Varnashram system, caste by birth, right? And that's what Arjuna is talking about. There's going to be mixing of caste, because the only way you can have a pure Brahmin, pure Kshatriya, pure Vaishya is by them having parents of the exact same caste. Mm-hmm. A Brahmin man marrying a Kshatriya woman creates a different caste according to the caste by birth system. Mm-hmm. So in that same chapter, right, they talk about all people from all other countries as being Sudras and outcasts, even if they speak Sanskrit. Right? That's what it says. 10th chapter of Manu, right? What about Angkor Wat, the biggest Vishnu temple in the world? It was built by a Cambodian Kshatriya king, and worship was going on there with Cambodian Brahmins. And still today you can go and see that, and I'm going to go. In Easter time, I have to go again and see it, because when this system, originally the Vedic system, by quality alone, went to other countries, it was like that. Right. But later on, it became caste by birth. So this is very interesting in Hari Bhakti Vilas. How do we deal with
apparent contradiction?
Contradictions from the scripture? It says, look, women and Sudras can't touch Shalagram. Right. Right. And what do they mean by Sudras? They mean people who are born women and people who are born Sudras. That's what they mean. Right. And what do the Goswamis say? What does Sanatana Goswami say in the purport? He says Brahmins, this is 451, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and pure Sudras have the eligibility for Shalagram, but never others. Then he says women, Sudras, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and others who worship the stones with discs will attain the eternal abode. Therefore, this is 5.451, 5.452, 5.453. Therefore, those who know the truth should understand that those clearly prohibiting statements refer only to non-Vaishnavas, right?
Right.
Non-Vaishnavas.
And Prabhupada would echo that quite often, I believe, right?
So the point is like this. The point is like this.
One last point, Prabhu. Okay, we have to move on.
Yeah. But this is the problem. The problem is that when we look at, there are certain people, when they look at men in ISKCON, they see Vaishnavas. And when they look at women in ISKCON, they see women.
Right. That's the problem.
That's the problem. When we look, we see Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. When caste by birth people look, there's only two standards. There's either caste by birth or caste by qualification. If you're a Vaishnava, you surpass that caste system. So Vaishnavas, all Vaishnavas are equal to or greater than Brahmins, right? That's the Vaishnava system, right? So that means if it's a purely spiritual job, then the qualifications are purely spiritual, that you know the science of Krishna.
Yes.
That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. That's what Prabhupada says. And if you don't say it, if you're against that, yes, make your own sampradaya. Very nice.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you so much.
You can't call yourself a Gaudiya Vaishnava, or you can't call yourself a Gaudiya Vaishnava or a follower of Prabhupada if you go directly against those statements. Simple.
Thank you so much, Gorgesh Prabhu.
Thank
Appreciate your time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Okay,
Prabhu.
we have Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu is here with us. Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
First of all, I want to acknowledge that we didn't give you much time. We were trying to, and we will try to give you as much time as we can. But we are acknowledging that we have given the pro side a lot of time and a lot of time to churn the nectar, so to say. But please go ahead. Tell us about yourself first.
Yeah, I'll be, giving a brief history because I'd like my viewers to go through my history from my books. So I published Female Diksha Guru, Do We Need Them? But prior to that, I published this book, A Divine Prophecy, Predictions about Lord Chaitanya and the Harinam Sankirtan movement, coming from Sri Vaishnava Alvars, Sri Nammalvar. I don't know, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Are you able to see this?
Yes, we can see it. We can see it too.
So I come from this background of Sri Vaishnava. I'm born and brought up in that. And I have done all of these, I went through all the Upanayana and all the samskaras, Vaishnava samskaras. They are not, Smarta or Neo-Smarta. It is purely Vaishnava. And I'm coming from a Vadagalai sect. And like everyone, I also went and, studied engineering and other things. And I went to Japan and I lived in US. So my samskara broke. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, when I came to Seattle, under Harivilas Prabhu, actually Harivilas Maharaj, who is an initiating spiritual master now, he and Mukunda Datta Prabhu and a few more Prabhupada disciples, Panchatattva Prabhu, they rescued me. And by reminding me that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is how I came, and I was in the US for 10 years, and my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, he asked me, what are you doing there? In the sense, you should be preaching Krishna consciousness. So I took it as an inspiration. In 2012, 11 or 12, I moved back completely to US, and then I moved back to Coimbatore, my own hometown, where I was born and brought up. And I'm here now talking to you, and I don't work anywhere. I do book distribution. I maintain my family completely by distributing Prabhupada books, and I also distribute my Guru Maharaj books and other books and my books. So this is how I maintain myself. And
very nice.
So Prabhu, what brings you to this issue? What drew you to speak out so strongly on this particular issue?
First and foremost, when I came to know about this issue, I had studied Prabhupada books and I saw 4:12:32. I had not an iota of doubt when I first studied. This was way back before even I knew about this issue, back in 2003 or 4 when I was in the US. And then later I came to know that there is this Suniti being a woman. However, being a woman, specifically his mother, Suniti, could not become Dhruva Maharaja's Diksha Guru. It didn't I went through this. That was fine. Now, then when I came to know that that statement is not necessarily, a be all end all golden statement, and that has been like there's so many explanations given to that, and I was shocked because I had always studied Prabhupada books, and then I started to research, and I found that Prabhupada has been saying Pancharatrika system is the system of initiation, and many places he has mentioned about Narada Pancharatra. Then I came out and saw that none of the ISKCON devotees, I'm sorry to say, I'm not going to make a search on Pancharatrika. Do we need them? And I found what's the answer from the scriptures. So Prabhupada says in Madhya Lila 20.352 purport, this is another purport that many of those who advocate female Diksha Guru have avoided completely. Even the Vedic, even the hermeneutics, SAC's hermeneutics manual does not mention this purport. But this purport says, śāstra sadhu guru vakya chiteta kariya aikya, quoting Narottama Dasa Thakura. If a guru or a sadhu speaks, and if it is not aligned with Shastra, and if Shastra is not the center, that should be rejected. And Prabhupada says Shastra should be the center of all. And I found in this book, we explain, and in this book, this was the first book, and the female Diksha Guru book, we explained how Narada Pancharatra brings out those statements, Najatu Mantrada Nari. So these were the things that were, brought me back into this topic.
Right. So Prabhuji, so if I'm understanding correctly, then your argument would be that since Prabhupada's statements to Professor O'Connell or his letter to Hamsadutta Prabhu or Himavati Devi, since those are, as far as your understanding is, since those statements contradict Shastra, we should reject those statements. Is that correct?
No, we wouldn't reject. That's not the way we handle, it's not a mental thing of accept and reject. The understanding is Shastra is the center means we have to see what is the Shastra saying, and we have to see if that particular Shastra has been commented by our Acharyas. Suppose you take Bhagavad Samhita, there are 3 verses, which has been, books have been written on that. Najatu Mantrada Nari is 1.42 and 1.43 says, woman may give hitahitam, bodha yeyur hitahitam, but acharyam na harhanti. Kvachit. No time they can be acharyas. Now the third verse, which is what Prabhupada, it's an exception. So even in the O'Connell conversation and all of those things, Prabhupada is talking about exception. And the exception is Pratyakshita Atma Natanam Naesham Chintayan Kuladikam. So Pratyakshita Atma Nata means seeing the Lord face to face. This is the verse that says, if somebody is at that level, they can see the Lord face to face, then Naesham Chintayan Kuladikam. You don't have to see the Kula, Adi, all those things. You don't have to see those. And they can be Acharyas. Now, what is an interesting point here is this verse. You may ask, how did you pick up this verse? But this verse has been commented by Baladev Vidyabhushana in his Vaishnavanandini commentary 1.13.15 Bhagavatam purport. And he says, with the example of Vidura, he says that Vidura was Shudra and junior. How could he instruct Dhritarashtra? This was his question he raises. And he answers, because Vidura was Sakshatkrita Paratatvat, Pareshatvat. So he could see Paraisha face to face. He was a Dharmaraja in his previous life. And he could see it. So, and then Baladev Vidyabhushana substantiates his views with the very same verses of Bharadwaj Samhita. So now we cannot reject Bharadwaj Samhita, or we cannot accept Bharadwaj Samhita by our own understanding of Bharadwaj Samhita, nor we can reject it by our own understanding. We understand from Acharyas. So one point is Baladev Vidyabhushana has quoted the very same verses. So it's not new to Gaudiya Sampradaya. Now second point, before I quickly, Vedanta Deshika in Nyasa Tilakam quotes in the verse number 1. He quotes Gurubhya, Tat Gurubhyasya, I think that's the verse. I have to see. But Nyasa Tilakam, he quotes the very same Bharadwaj Samhita verses. So, should we reject Prabhupada's statements? No, because we can see Prabhupada's statements from Janava, about Janava Mata, or all those things are matching with these three verses. So, Shastra, Sadhu, Guru, Vakya, Chitete, Karya, Aikya. We got to do the Aikya. This is the Aikya principle. I will wait for another question.
Sure. The Bharadwaj, I mean, this is super interesting. The Bharadwaj Samhita verses that you are citing, they don't only speak about gender, correct? They speak about other considerations in terms of...
No, they are Prapati Shastra. That is the Shastra for Charanagati. If you go chapter 1...
No, Prabhuji, what I'm saying is the verses that you're citing, they're not only talking about male or female as a qualification, they're talking about all different qualifications, including like one's varna, one's kula, right? So
no,
by that
I'll explain that.
Yes.
Yeah, please ask your question.
No. So I'm just wondering then, how do we understand then? Are we applying that same exceptional, like that same exception that we accept that all of our gurus in ISKCON who are coming from, by the Bharadwaj Samhita's standpoint at least, coming from very, very poor backgrounds, are they also seeing Krishna face to face? Is that why we accept them?
No, very good question. The verses start from 1.37. It's not that we picked up some verse from the middle. I went through the entire chapter. So 130, actually 114, 115 talks about who are all eligible for this, receiving this mantra. First, eligibility for receiving is very clear. No, at no point of time, it is in all yugas, everybody, including man, woman, children, old people, and even animals are eligible for Pancha Samskara. So they can do Sharanagati. So that's the eligibility to receive. And gradually the verses come, who can give this? And in that, there are levels starting that only Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, specifically Brahmana only can do. And if Brahmana is not there, Kshatriya can do. But the Kshatriya cannot initiate Brahmana. And again, there are rules given gradually. And one point of time, even if at a time of emergency, there can be some, I don't want to go through that exceptions. This is all discussed in this particular book, Vaishnava Diksha according to Narada Pancharatra. And when it comes to the verse, specifically, Najatu Mantrada Nari says, at no point of time, Na Jatu. Jatu means never. This is the rule. This is the rule. So because Varnashrama, this is based on, not that Varnashrama cannot be separated from our society. Whether you like it or not, today we go to all corporate world, anywhere, there are sweepers or sweepers, the CEO is a CEO. You cannot have a CEO come and sweep, and the sweeper cannot, make decisions of the CEO. So this is irreversible, and that's Krishna's system. But the point I'm trying to make here is, the very verse that gives about exception, Pratyakshita Atmanatanam na esham chintayan kula adikam. That means the normal way is to see kula adi. Adi means ityadi, ... starting from kula. But in the time of, when somebody is in the face-to-face seeing, you should not see. Now your question could be that, are all ISKCON gurus Pratyakshita Atmanata? So now comes what is Varna Dharma, and in Varna Dharma there is 3 Dharma. So there is a way to make somebody Dvijatvam. And the Dvijatvam, obviously the scriptures are saying we have to follow the scriptures. Shāstra is center. One of the things that scripture says is Guru should be independent. The Guru cannot be dependent on anybody. And the other thing the scripture says is woman cannot be independent. Now, somebody in the woman body must follow both the injunctions. Now, somebody in the male body, there is also Dvijatvam, through Dvijatvam. What is that? Yata Kanchananam Yati Kankshin. You can make, mercury, adding mercury to zinc or bell metal can make gold. Tata Diksha Vidanena. So through Diksha Vidana, anybody can be made to Brahmana. Even women can develop Brahmanical qualities. But when it comes to this Dharma, woman can be a Guru Mata. Definitely in the marriage. Even our Gaura Keshava, Prabhu was saying Lopamudra, Maitreyi, and all those examples, right?
Mhm.
But they were all in the Varna system. They were not independent. They were learning under the guidance of, Yajnavalkya. And even if you see, Yajnavalkya had two wives. One is, I believe she is Maitreyi. No, not Maitreyi. What's her name? I'm blanking. Gargi. And who is the other one? Usually we say Gargi and
I
sorry.
don't-
That's okay.
No, it's just blanking. But he had two wives. One of the wife was taking care of the household. The other wife was interested. So he encouraged her under his guidance. This is the point. They cannot be independent. So how come ISKCON gurus, male gurus? So through Dvijatvam, through Diksha Vidanena, they are chanting, they are purifying. I talk about this in this small booklet, and I'm also coming up with a big book, Harinam Initiation, Diksha or Siksha. So I discuss these points in my book, but through Diksha Vidanena, generally people are all elevated. First of all, it says that the moment somebody comes to Krishna consciousness and follows four regulated principles, they come up to the level of, and they are ready to give up their nicha achara. That means lower habits, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex. If they are ready to do this, immediately they are elevated into the Varna system. These people, those who are outside of Varna also come as Shudras. And then they have to gradually chant Hare Krishna. So then they will be practicing and become, but at the same time, somebody who is in a body must follow that we are not the body, but we are given a body. We have to follow that body dharma. And this is what
Right.
we understand.
So men who are born outside of the traditional Varnashram system, as so many, let's say, Westerners were and are, those men, they can become purified through these rites. They can become Dvija, right? But can women become Dvija?
No, women can also be purified by marriage. They will become, this is Prabhupada is saying, that when somebody is married, she is a Brahmani. If married to a Brahmana, Brahmani. So the system of marriage, you got to be in the system. Women are protected by only three protectors: father before marriage, husband after marriage, and older son after, in old age. So we cannot create our own protectors. That would be
Oh no.
He'll come back. He's making some points.
Vedam is a Buddha.
It's cutting out a little bit.
Prabhu, can you hear us?
Prabhu, it's cutting out just a little bit. Can you hear us?
My wife is gonna kill me.
So it looks like
Okay.
Okay, you're
Oh, he's
back.
back,
Are
he's
you
back.
back?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry, it
We
cut
lost
out.
you for like
We
30
lost you.
seconds almost.
Okay, where was I? What was the last thing that you
were
heard from
saying
me?
that the woman is protected before marriage by her father, and then
At every
subsequent-
stage, a woman is
Yeah.
And then
protected.
what did you say after that?
Yeah, we cannot introduce new protectors. This is a GPC passed a resolution that women can be protected by Vaisnavi Sangha. Women can be protected. This is against Shastric injunctions. It is Ashastriya. You cannot introduce a new protector. They got, and the Shastras, Pancharatra Shastras, Manu Samhita, Vaidika Shastras are all saying that women Vaivahika, only Vivaha is their initiation, the first thing foremost. Then the husband becomes the guru, and then they can train. This is how you see in history. Krishna was trained.
Prabhuji, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think this is a great time. I want to read morning walk interaction that Srila Prabhupada had. This is from Nairobi in 1975. And I want you to I want to get your thoughts on this because it's on this exact subject. So a gentleman on the walk asks about, he says, Srila Prabhupada, since there is no distinction between man and woman, these are both designations, is it possible for women to be Brahmana? So Brahmananda clarifies the question for Prabhupada. He repeats, he says, is it possible for women to become Brahmana? Prabhupada says, woman is a Brahmana's wife, then she is automatically Brahmana, which sounds very similar to what you just stated. Then the gentleman asks, suppose she does not want to get married for the rest of her life, just wants to serve the Lord. Prabhupada replies, so in spiritual position, everyone is Brahmana. Brahmananda says, but you give Brahminical initiation to unmarried women. Prabhupada says, yes, but on spiritual point, she is Brahmana. On the spiritual platform, there is no distinction. So how do you understand that? I understand you're giving us the very sort of, you can say, orthodox view that a woman's purification must come through vivaha. But here Srila Prabhupada seems to be suggesting that, at least in our contemporary setting, that there is, from a spiritual point of view, we cannot make distinction between man, woman, and that purification that comes with what in ISKCON we sometimes call second initiation, that should be considered equal for men and women. But it seems like what you're saying is something a little bit different from that. So can you clarify that?
Yes. You know, always when we read all these things, there will be, if there are two statements, apparently there are two statements from Prabhupada that are apparently contradicting. Do we agree on this?
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
So now, how do we choose which one? What is the process to choose? Should I go with left? Should I go with right? What should be the tiebreaker?
Are you asking me? I have an answer for that.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to keep it interactive.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think?
I would say that you would take that statement against like other statements of other acharyas or other shāstra that we find as pramana in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, and then based upon that, we say that which way are we going to go in that?
Bingo. Thank you. So that is what Prabhupada is teaching us in his Madhya Leela 20.352 purport. Shastra is the center of all. So we should attempt to find out what are Purva Acharya saying and what are the Shastras that are governing this topic. So in this particular case, I would like to say that Prabhupada himself has said many times throughout this purport, establish Varnashrama Dharma. Even Gaurakeshava Prabhu was mentioning that spiritual, what is that? Yeah, he was quoting from Rupa Goswami and Mirabai.
Yes.
In that episode, you saw Rupa Goswami was following Shastra and Mirabai is completely going in the exception stage. But Rupa Goswami is talking about us. We cannot take Mirabai for us. Right now, I'm talking to you. And if this call goes beyond 2 hours, I'll indicate silently to my wife, come on, get me something here. You know, Namarasa Prabhu has been holding me up since 5:30 a.m.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying. So yeah. I have to be in this platform, and Rupa Goswami is, we are Rupa Anugas. And Rupa Goswami has to be, he himself saw, well, I'm not qualified at that platform, and I'm going to distinguish in this particular case. So he moved away. My point is, yes, when there are two contradicting statements.
The story ends with Rupa Goswami agreeing with Mirabai. The story ends with Rupa Goswami actually agreeing.
Could be. No, he could be. But I'm also saying, we women, pratyakshita atmanata, we you see, the point here is we are not against women becoming guru. What we are against, what I am against is, let me clarify.
Let him finish. No, sorry, go ahead. Please go ahead.
Let me clarify. What I'm trying to say here is creating an institution and creating some rules and regulations and procedures and policies for something that is taboo in scriptures, that is taboo in Acharya Vakyas. This is invention. This is what we cannot be doing. And in order to do this, in order to fully understand this, we should establish the norm. Why Varnashrama Dharma is the norm. Everywhere, and one more point I would like to respond to Gaurakeshava Prabhu, spiritual equality. he says that, he quoted Krishna Tattva Veda. But the Krishna Tattva Veda should be understood with Bhagavatam purport 6. I just now had it here. 6:16:43. Right? Where you can go through this. 6:16:43. And Prabhupada says this is about Bhagavata Dharma and Krishna and Aryan. He says Varnashma Dharma are not different. He says the Varnashma Dharma is the Bhagavata Dharma. And we can see Rupa Goswami's act with Mirabai. Even though he agreed with Mirabai, but his act was, he was a proponent of, he is a personified of Bhagavata Dharma, but he followed. And so Prabhupada, Varnashma Dharma, and Prabhupada explains this. So the point is, Prabhupada in that conversation, yes, should be understood with every woman. And Prabhupada, although he created Brahmacharani ashram, you can see he told his temple presidents, get them married. He said, get them married off. Even though he did not host them on a permanent basis. Okay, another point is, when Prabhupada came, it was an apata dharma. Now we are not in the same apata dharma as Prabhupada was. So
What does apata dharma mean?
Emergency times, clearly crazy times.
Right.
And that is why apata dharma, there is always statements that a Brahmana can come down to the level of, anyone can come down. This is 7:11:17 Bhagavatam. Anybody can come down except king. So the GBC, if they are the administrators, they cannot come down and take up any other profession. They have to be king. But others can take others' profession. So, but Prabhupada has cleared the apata dharma situation for us. Certainly we are in tough times, but we have to establish Varnashma Dharma. When we establish Varnashma Dharma, we will see a clear solution for all of these things.
So, Prabhu, I appreciate that, and I obviously, you have a lot of conviction on this point. It does raise some question for me as to why Srila Prabhupada wouldn't have been more direct about this. You're presenting it that Prabhupada, and he certainly made some very strong statements about the need to establish Varnashram Dharma, but it seems to be there's a real lacking of clear, direct statements that Prabhupada would make on the subject, and where he would make statements, they almost invariably emphasize the spiritual equality piece. So why not, if this was so clear and so obvious and so, locked with tradition, why wouldn't Prabhupada have been more clear about it?
Good point. Prabhupada was, from what I read Prabhupada books, on female Diksha Guru, Prabhupada was very clear. Being a woman, however, Suniti, specifically Dhruva Maharaja's mother, could not become his Diksha Guru. This one is a direct answer to the topic that we are discussing. And if we come and say, and Gaurakeshava Prabhu, I don't know, he was saying that Suniti was not even initiated. This is bogus. I'm telling you right away, because Suniti, during Dhruva Maharaja, how was he initiated? He was only 5 years old. A Kshatriya cannot be initiated Vaidika way by 5 years old. He has to be at 9-11 years. Do you know that? So how was Narada Muni initiating? And Prabhupada says Narada Muni initiated with the Pancharatrika Vidhi. So how can Gaurakeshava Prabhu say that Suniti was not even initiated? This is complete misunderstanding. Suniti was initiated by Pancharatrika Vidhi. Pancharatrika Vidhi is all, not only Kali Yuga, it is all Yugas. So we are all talking only Pancharatrika Vidhi. This whole female Diksha Guru is not Vaidika Diksha. This is Pancharatrika Diksha. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the Hare Krishna mantra that we got, Sola Mala Bhattris Akshara Ei Tantra, from Chaitanya Bhagavata Adi Kanda 14.146. So we are talking Pancharatrika, but we don't want to accept Pancharatrika Vidhi. This would be a big, this is like, we keep saying, there is one saying in Tamil, Padikkirathu Ramayanam, Idikkirathu Perumal Koil, which means you read Ramayana and you demolish a Vishnu temple. We say Shastra. We say Krishna is supreme. Don't worship demigod. We tell everybody, don't go worship Sai Baba. We pulled everybody from all demigod worship, from all Bhuta and Manushya worship, and we brought them, and even we brought who don't know what is worship, Mlecha, and to highest level of Vaishnava, and based on Shastra. We say that Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is supreme. But now all of a sudden we come and throw out all those things and say, we give interpretation to what we understand Prabhupada said. So this is you asked me very first question, what brings you here, Namaras Prabhu?
Yeah.
It was shocking to me. Why did you bring me from my Sri Vaishnava background? I keep asking this question. Why did I take up Gaudiya Vaishnavism? Right. So I found the Shastra centricity is unshakable. So we will lose that if we go with this implement female Diksha Guru. We can implement Ritvikism. Tell me one good reason why we should not accept Ritvikism. That's you say that is not Shastriya. Now I proved here this is not Shastra. So why should we not accept Ritvikism? They are the sides of the same coin.
I'm sorry?
What was the last thing you said about the coin?
You're saying Ritvikism
No,
and female Diksha Guru are
take,
two sides of the same coin?
I mean, if you take that a coin, there are two sides to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm just saying that coin is Apasampradaya, Ashastriya, Apasiddhanta.
Right.
Yeah.
Then one side is Ritvikism, other side is female Diksha Guru.
Oh, I see.
I see
what you're saying.
Upper Sampradaya is Upper Sampradaya is Upper Sampradaya. If you're gonna violate Shastra in one sense, you're violating Shastra.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Prabhu. Prabhupada giving the Brahma Gayatri and Gayatri to women, you would say that it was an emergency situation. That's why he did that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's one understanding. Definitely, but he did not give sacred thread.
Right.
He clearly said. So that initiation, technically, I'm not going to be the one to comment on this. But if I see Shastra, sacred thread and the Brahma Gayatri are integral.
Right.
They are inseparable. From my age long, I've been doing this every year, wearing this, changing the Yajnatam.
Right.
You know that once a year we change. And the next day we have to do Gayatri Japam.
Mm-hmm.
So Prabhupada also, again, I'm not going to go into, there is a paper we researched and we wrote this. I can send you the link. You can post it in the YouTube description. Namaras Prabhu, there are 2 papers we have researched on this topic, and it's well researched. And I have written this in my book. This female Diksha Guru also has, and I'm coming up with the next book. Long story short, there is a lot of controversy also surrounding that, because if you see Satsvarup Maharaja's book, Spiritual Master and Disciple, or one of the books, in that Boston Brahmanas, he clearly called out that there was a feminist protest. He said that. I'm not saying. He used these terms. If you want, I can supply the quote. So I'll stay away from that. But I have to understand what I read from. Now, the second thing is there are so many interviews that Siddhanta Prabhu has put. Is ITV interviews. Right. Even in that, I see Govinda Dasi Mataji and Jadurani Mataji, hers, they both saying we were upset. Prabhupada didn't name us. So Prabhupada's first roster did not have their name. So the circumstances that led to that is different. And
first roster of second initiation, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the Boston Brahmanas, the Brahma Gayatri issue, you can see those interviews that are pretty much, and those interviews, I can send you all those, I can send you those links so that you can see them. So my point is, why Prabhupada did, and one more thing, Bhagavatam 11, 31, 33, or 33, 31, I might mix these things all the time. Ishwaranam Vacha Satyam, that is, we intelligent people should see what is an implementable action for me. If I am intelligent, I should see my Acharya's words and see whether that words are matching the actions, and those actions are implementable for me. So Prabhupada is a Acharya. So at times he can make these rules, But at the same time, Prabhupada also said, implement Varnashrama. There is a very, okay, that was, Venkata Bhatta Prabhu asked me the first question. Are there any clear statements from Prabhupada? On FDG, there is a clear statement. On Varnashrama, there are numerous clear statements that Varnashrama must be implemented for ISKCON. And one more conversation, February 14th, 1977 conversation, 2.5 hours of conversation with Satsvarup Maharaj and Harishauri Prabhu, where Prabhupada is saying Varnashrama must be introduced. So you can go through those conversations too.
Sure. No, that's very clear as far as the importance of Varnashram. I guess what I'm just unclear about is if this is such a, I mean, if it's such a cut and dry, like case closed type of issue, what do we make of the presence of female Diksha gurus in our, not just in Vaishnavism broadly, not just in Hinduism broadly, but in our own, not just lineage, but even, looking at our own line, looking at Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his connection through Bipin Bihari
Diksha.
Goswami,
Diksha
his Diksha lineage. But even putting that aside, if we look at, like, we're talking about tradition, if we look at traditional Gaudiya Parivars, if we look at the Advaita Parivar, if we look at the Nityananda, you find not just one, not just two, but several. You find several examples of female Diksha gurus. Are they all sort of the exceptions to the rule, or how should we understand that?
Excellent point. And I had the same confusion, Venkata Bhatta Prabhu, when I was writing my book. How am I going to answer this? Now, I've answered this in my book, but I can explain here. First of all, Gaura Keshava Prabhu brought this point saying, oh, is Bhaktivinoda Thakur Apasampradaya? Now, you have to see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had two sons, many sons, among them two were prominent, right? One is Lalita Prasad Thakur, another one is Bimala Prasad Thakur.
Our Bhakti
Now, he gave, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bimala Prasad Thakur became Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Lalita Prasad Thakur. So he gave Siddha Pranali initiation to Lalita Prasad Thakur. He did not give Siddha Pranali to our Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But why did he give Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur? He said, you re-establish Daiva Varnashrama. He did not, Gaura Keshava Prabhu says, whatever we are talking here is Asura Varnashrama. No. What we are talking, our Varnashrama is what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, via Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, asked Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to establish Daiva Varnashrama. And what did Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did? He re-established based on Pancharatrika. And if you see Gaudiya logo, one half is Bhagavata Dharma, one half is Pancharatrika Dharma.
Gaudiya Math logo, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we cannot, and so I'll answer that question. What about the female lineages all along? Now, let us see why Bhaktivinoda Thakur really wanted Bhakti Siddhanta to not be following his own Diksha line. There are so many debates that Brahmana, Vaishnava, K, that big debate, Bahubali showdown. But not Bahubali, sorry. What is that? No, you have to excuse me. I am a Tamil Nadu Brahmana. I cannot remember Bengal names. I beg forgiveness. My Guru Maharaj will laugh at me at this. But in Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava, that place, there was a showdown where Bipin Bihari Goswami was the Diksha Guru of Bhaktivinoda Thakur was heading that. And in that, there were a confluence of Smartas. So he went with the Smartas and they criticized Narottama, they criticized all the Goswamis, all of them, the Sanatana Goswami and all of them. You can read Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava. I'm unfortunately, I have covered this in my book, but I just don't have in my fingertips. But that showdown, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very, very upset. And so he did not want to go to that conference. And he sent Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to go and defeat, because they were speaking caste Jata Gosais. So Bipin Bihari Goswami had heavy jata, hereditary familial lineage kind of influence. Now, what is the real answer? Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, even Gaura Keshava Prabhu quoted, Evam Parampara Praptam, Imam Raja Rishio Vidu, Sakala Neha Magata, what's the last line?
Yoga
Yoga Nashta Parantapa, Yoga Nashta. So during Bhakti Vinod Thakur, there was a Yoga Nashta.
So,
And
so
Bhakti
you're
Vinod,
sorry.
isn't
Continue.
it? No, would you agree that there was a Yoga Nashta in the sense, what was the Yoga Nashta? This whole Guru, Sishya, Diksha line was a Nashta.
I
I
wouldn't
don't know
say
if I would
that.
agree with
I wouldn't
that.
agree with that.
I think
Prabhu.
that's a very strong.
It's a very strong
Hey,
statement, and that's your opinion. I understand that, but I wouldn't say that we could say that.
No. I have to explain what it means. Not everybody was Yoga Nashta. I am just saying that there was a heavy caste Goswami, and the casteism was very intense, and the Smartha influence was heavy, and that is why Bhakti Vinod Thakur asked Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to re-establish. It was a Asura Varnashrama at that time. Would you agree? Is that a fair statement?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's very subjective because on the one hand, you're asking us to condemn that as Asura Varnashram. Right now, there are people that would say what you're trying to establish, they're saying is Asura Varnashram. So
my point. Let's leaving aside whether it is Asura or Daiva Varnashrama at that time, we were not born, you were not born. Let's leave that aside. But Krishna says, whenever there is a Yoga Nashta, at that time, either I or my representative will come to re-establish. There will be an Acharya coming through.
Okay, so just to be clear, because I don't want us to get too lost in this. Just to be clear, the point that you're making is because there was this break, this Yoga Nashta that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur reestablished. Therefore, we don't really need to worry about the historical examples in these parivars and in our own Diksha lineage, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur empowered Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to reestablish, restart, free of Diksha lineage. Is that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that correct?
Okay, so that's the point.
Well, you did me a favor. You did me a favor by summarizing it in very short sentence. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
But what I wanted to say,
right. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh no, we
froze him.
No. Oh gosh, I hope we get him back.
yes, not second. I think, yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, you're back.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. So, long story short, yes, let us not go back into those. Those are not precedents for us. The female Diksha Gurus, we are not discussing whether they are valid or invalid, but it is not necessarily our precedent at all, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not make any of his female disciples. And on the Brahma Gayatri question, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not Brahma Gayatri. He gave Pancharatrika Gayatris to women. But he did not give Brahma Gayatri. And Pancharatrika Gayatris can be given to women. I have researched on Pancharatrika scriptures.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Pancharatrika Gayatris, women and Shudras are all eligible.
No, I mean,
provided they are qualified.
Siddhanta Prabhupada didn't give that
He didn't
to women.
You're saying he did not give?
He did not give. You're saying that, right?
He did not give. He did not give Brahma Gayatri, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now, the point I'm trying to say is
to give Brahma Gayatri to women, that means then. Or we don't know.
No,
well,
he did.
No, he
Prabhupada
did.
also did not have women.
Brothers did.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Prabhu, please go ahead.
We froze him again.
I wish there was a way to.
Prabhupada woman in the first list. Anyway, Krishna has been merciful to me. Today there is a network fluctuation here. It was never like this before.
Right.
Okay.
Prabhu, do you have any other anything to add?
Okay, I think I pretty much addressed. One thing is, I think, okay, one point I wanted to add, Gaurakeshwar Prabhu talked about Buddhist and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu incident.
Mhm.
So that incident proves that Harinama should be received in Diksha. It is not that we can concoct something as a Siksha ceremony. Because one last point I want to add.
Sure.
Prabhu, are you still there? I know we are
We're
running
here.
through some
We're
time.
here.
One last point. There is a topic that I address in my book. Samskara is the linchpin. If we really understand what this statement is, a linchpin connects, pretty much like two perpendicular joints and keeps them together.
Mhm.
A very important aspect. So for that, samskara. And what is samskara? Purificatory processes. And how does purificatory process? It starts with Hare Krishna mantra. As we start, are we still there? As we start chanting Hare Krishna mantra, we gradually get purified, and the varna by people will be born into their particular samskaras. So there is Brahmana samskara, there is Dvija samskaras. So anyway, I welcome you all to go through my books.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu, we'll put the links in the description for your book. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Prabhu. Lots of food for thought. Lots of areas to explore. We're again sorry about all the technical issues, whether it's on your side, our side, whatever. But unfortunate that we kept you waiting so long. So we appreciate your patience, and we appreciate you coming on here and sharing a view that maybe is a little bit different than the other perspectives that we've heard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. And I thank you, Namarasa Prabhu, for reaching out to me. Thank you very much. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namo Namah.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. We are so over time now.
Yes,
It's not even funny.
We are almost 3 hours
Almost
now.
3 hours into this.
Any parting words here?
Oh gosh, so many thoughts. I don't know about parting words, but I think that's super interesting to learn about some of the perspectives that we just heard.
Yes.
I'm personally not convinced. I feel like there's a lot of interpretive leaps that take place, and I think it feels like a very dangerous territory to over contextualize Prabhupada in terms of being in emergency mode. There's enough that Prabhupada did and said himself that I feel like, to wipe that all away as that's emergency mode, or that's Prabhupada was pressured, or that's not really what Prabhupada wanted, and he wanted us to establish Varnashram and undo all of that. That doesn't feel right to me. And then when you get to the point of, this argument, I think it's fascinating. I'm gonna have to think about it a little bit, but viscerally, I don't agree that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur establishes something new that wipes away, which is why I was trying to clarify and summarize,
right,
that wipes away our previous Gaudiya history. I think that's a very, not just radical, but I think that's like super problematic in many ways. And, and ironically, I feel like for someone who's supposed to be a traditionalist, that's like pretty anti-traditional to our own Gaudiya history.
Right. So my conclusion is this.
Yeah.
This movement can be only destroyed from within, from
Mm.
us fighting with each other about these kind of topics. I think we need to be compassionate to each other. I think we need to be nice to each other. I think we need to be kind to each other, even if within our own movement we have varying opinions on things.
Sure. Do you think these varying opinions can coexist here, though, or do you think we're coming to a point where it's like really like?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that each and every one of us as individuals can do better in the way we interact with people we don't agree with.
Sure.
And I think that I don't know, Krishna's going to make some arrangement for us to continue as or we'll split, and that's
I wanted to
maybe that's going to happen.
I wanted to ask you
maybe
about
that's
that.
the best thing. Who knows?
Do you think that might be a blessing in disguise if it happens?
It could be. I saw someone comment like, let it split, and maybe that'll be better for everybody. Who knows? I don't know if it's the right thing or not. I'm just a journalist, and I appreciate everybody staying on. We've had over 100 devotees listening throughout, and it's been really nice.
Amazing. We
And,
appreciate you all so much.
My friend Kirtan says, I vote Namras Das for Diksha Guru. I'm not giving Diksha anytime soon,
Well,
but
you know, never say never, but I don't know.
everyone have a good night. I appreciate all your support on this forum. Venkat, I appreciate you very much also.
Oh, I appreciate you bringing me on, and no, let's keep the conversations going.
Yeah.
I want to encourage everyone. You know, I know Prabhu was just sharing some of his books. Go out, do your own research, read the books.
Exactly.
Read
That's
the books.
that's why I wanted to do this podcast, was bring on devotees who just have different perspectives.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we have to argue with them. Just let the devotees hear different perspectives, and you make your own decision. That's what you know, this is that's what Krishna consciousness, I think, is about. You take it into your own hands. You read the books. You approach someone who knows Krishna consciousness, and you know, you make decisions like that way.
Yeah.
But I have other podcasts coming out that I haven't edited because I'm so busy. But I have Gauranga Prabhu, I have Nrsimha Kavach Prabhu, I have a few other podcasts that
Some
we
really
did.
good ones.
Some really good ones
in
that
there.
we haven't really released yet. But
yeah, we're gonna do that soon.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Good night.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.